We don't have anyone from the NAB option, right?
No, not yet. Those of you who on the video, we're just waiting for them to tell you that. You can hear me, just waiting for somebody else. And then meet you at all the board.
Hey, yeah, seriously, how's it going?
How are you doing? Yeah, you're saying it. You're unmuted. Yep.
All right, everybody, thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 5:31. Kelly, roll call, please.
Sure thing, Chair. Sean McCoy,
Here.
Bill Shrimp, absent at this time. Kristen Montan.
Here.
Patrick Fisher.
Here.
Stacy Shin, absent at this time. Hal Taylor, absent at this time. Donna Keats.
Here.
Mike Ginsburg.
Here.
Pat Michelle, absent at this time. With that, we have a form of the Ward 2 Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you for coming down today and spending your time with us. We've got a busy agenda. We are going to try to get through it just as quickly as we can. We are going to have an opportunity for public comment now, but also during each of the items. And so if you'd like to speak to a specific development project tonight, feel free to wait until then or speak now. And but you don't have to hold the piece, I'm trying to say. So let's move then to item A2 and open it up for our first instance of public comment.
Sure thing. For the record, Vice Chair Bill Shrimp joined at 5:32 p.m. Item A2, public comment. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you are called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you are an attendee of the Zoom meeting that would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. Do we have anyone in person who would like to make comment under general public comment?
I just was hearing Greg speak no louder.
We'll do our best, sir. Yes. All right, with that, Chair, I am not seeing.
So I don't have to wait to the very end here.
Well,
I am so not prepared either. I'm concerned about,
Beth, you state your name for the record.
what,
You state your name for the record.
oh, Beth Dory, thank you. I'm concerned about the, encroaching into a 5-foot setback. I think you have a couple of, plans where the 5-foot setback is going to be reduced by 2 feet or so. And I'm concerned about that for several reasons. One was several years ago, we have a house on Bates Avenue, and the next door neighbor had built encroaching into the 5-foot setback. And there was a fire, and the firemen had to axe through our fence, and we had to pay for the damages afterwards. I actually brought pieces of the fence to city council. Wow. and said, you know, this isn't acceptable. The other thing I have a problem with is that you don't require a valid survey. And in these old neighborhoods, the fence line is not exactly where the true boundary is. So if you have no point of reference as to where the setback would be, it's just not right for the adjacent neighbors. I've started to do surveys at my own cost, which actually ends up, I pass it to my tenants, because if adjacent property owners are encroaching into my setback on my property, that affects my bottom line. So it's not right to have to pass that on, but I do. The other thing is that the narrower the setback, you have to get permission from the adjacent neighbor to complete the project. If you only have a 2-foot setback, you've got to go on that neighbor's property to complete the project. So for those reasons, I have a lot of concerns about reducing those setbacks. Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. For the record, Stacy Shin joined at 5:33 p.m. Stacy, can you unmute and just confirm you're hearing us?
I can hear you. Thank you.
There's one on here.
She's still.
She unmuted for a second, so I just want to make sure.
She's unmuted.
I can hear you all. I don't know if you can hear me.
Stacy, can you try again? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear all of you. Can you hear me?
Watching.
Not hear her.
Okay, we can, we can take that from now.
I think we should be able to hear you now, Stacy.
Okay, trying again.
Perfect, we've got you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
You. Okay, with that, I do not have any additional public comment.
Okay.
Public comment.
All right, thank you for those public comments. Let's move on to item A3, approval of tonight's agenda.
Again, for the recommending to approve the agenda for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026.
Tony Keats, like second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right. A4, approval of minutes. Looking for a motion. Everybody have a chance to review those? They were part of the packet with the agenda.
I found one small thing.
And please remember to say.
Sorry, member Shrimp, on the minutes in item A6. The last bullet point says multifamily fair housing rentals are about 50% in Reno, and there have been issues coming forward. Right. I don't remember what the 50% was. Is that my memory or?
It was in the notes, I can go back and look, I'll check it. Can we do it now, or?
I just wonder what the 50%.
It was something about 50%.
Percent of what?
Oh, the multifamily fair housing rentals are about 50% of Reno's rentals.
Okay, okay. No, I just,
I clarified it rather.
no, that's fine. It's
Yeah.
there unless other members.
Yeah, so I remember, yeah. Thank you. That's the thing that, Naomi brought up.
No, I remember talking about it.
Yeah.
With that context. So, thank you.
All right, Mike Ginsburg for the record, and it was January 20th, 2026.
Tony Keats, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, now is when we would turn to a council liaison report. But as you noticed, Councilmember Dewar is not here. It's my understanding she may try to join us later this evening. She had a prior commitment. The one thing that I did have passed on was that the boards are going to be up for discussion next week, I believe, at the city council meeting. And so there's been a lot of changes with how the NABs have been operating over the last 12 months. So if you have any thoughts or feedback you'd like to provide to council, that's going to take place next Wednesday, 25th. So I'm sure some of you probably have some thoughts or ideas about how we can move to improve and concerns we might have about some of the potential changes they were looking at making or at least putting in place. So speak, let them know, kind of what you want. And I mean, I guess that would go for the community as well. You guys like meeting here, for example? Make sure that they know that because not every NAB is meeting in that neighborhood. So it's like the three of them that are meeting downtown, maybe at least half of them are actually meeting at city council chambers. And so we really we really enjoy being able to come here. If you do as well, it wouldn't hurt to let the city council know that.
Excuse me, did you say that the discussion is about how the maps function?
I think my understanding is that this is something they've always talked about. They put out that the new resolution, they were gonna work with us, they're gonna see how things are going, they're gonna bring it back for discussion, see how things are working, see what's not working with the NABs, other boards as well. So it's my understanding that they are bringing that back up for discussion. We
Like a
take-
review.
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing discussion. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And now is a good time to provide that feedback if you've been holding back. All right, that's the end of the no council liaison report. Let's move on to item A6, the staff liaison report.
I've got nothing for you guys tonight. Thought we'd get right into the meat and potatoes.
Excellent. Okay, then we will move on directly to development project review. Starting up tonight, we have item B1, LDC 26-00050. This is the Manzanita homesite setback deviation. We were supposed to hear this last month. We had the weather canceled our meeting. So we're hearing it tonight, but just want everyone to know that it's actually going before the planning commission tomorrow. And so conversation will be had tonight, whatever feedback the board you want to provide, make sure it's in either tonight or early tomorrow so that it can be submitted to the planning commission before their meeting tomorrow evening. Let's have I believe we have a presentation. Yes. Yeah, so let's invite them up now at this time, have a presentation. Thanks.
Where do you want to sit? All right, you can sit right there. Perfect.
Hello.
Just let me know when you want.
Cool.
And make sure you talk on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Gabriel Olson. I had my family here, which I thought would be helpful, but I think it was better for the proceedings that they not be here. We live at 905 Manzanita Lane. We bought our house 6 years ago. It started 2020, and it's kind of a cool story. My wife grew up 2 doors down. So when we got the house, it was really cool to be able to grow up in the same or live in the same neighborhood that my wife grew up in. This is our home. It was our first home and we love it there. This is our backyard. We have a beagle dog. We have 2 kids, 4 and 1. And this is a view going towards the west in the backyard. Like many families, I think over the past few years, we have outgrown our house a bit and have been actively looking at potentially buying another home or adding on to our home. There were plans in the past to add on in wings in the back section of our home. But as we were looking at it, as you can see, we would either have to create a substantial L on the east side of the home or create 2 west side L's, taking away those 2 trees that you see that provide that lovely shade area, as well as significantly condensing the backyard. So it would take away a lot of family fun. As you can see, we use the backyard a lot. I totally understand. This is not unique to us at all. There's a lot of folks that have been constrained by obviously the planning rules that we all live in this neighborhood, and I'm completely respectful of that. But we do have a growing family, and so we were looking at, is there any possibility, and you can go to the next one, that we could utilize this space shown here. So instead of going into the backyard, just going into the backyard, a small section in the southeast section, kind of where that picture was taken. And then instead of creating a full wing in the back, add on partially here in the side yard. So the first thing that we did is spoke with our neighbor, and we have written permission from our neighbor. The neighbor thinks it's a great idea. We kind of worked with them on the design from fire rating of that side and where we place the windows, both from a privacy concern as well as a public safety element. But obviously without their blessing, we would have even considered it. And the woman who spoke earlier, I'm so sorry that you went through that experience of the fire. That must have been so hard. And I actually grew up in a house, there was a fire when I was 6. And so I have a ton of empathy for that and completely respect that experience. With that, we actually did pay for a professional survey. We think that you shouldn't have to pay for other people's surveys. That's very generous of you to do that. But we did look into it. And I think next slide shows that. And there's actually, so a couple of things we found. Ours is a case where our property is a little bit into that other person's property. And there's also a utility easement that the engineering department brought to our attention. So we actually changed the design of that side setback to make it a gable roof. So even our eave would not go into that 2.5 foot utility easement. And so we feel we feel like we've done it in a way. There's 4 houses down to the east. There was a similar addition done, and we feel like we've done it in a way that is appealing from the street perspective, as well as fitting into an area that, as you can see, besides hiding pine cones from our beagle, is very unused in the area. And so we would love your support if you're open to it. And I'm also totally I heard your concerns earlier and want to take that into consideration, as well as hear from any of our neighbors on the work we would love to do for our homes.
Right.
Yeah.
I can for the record, so you want to go within 2.5 feet of the survey, but where you said, where we see the property line, where is the fence actually?
So the fence there, it's like a quarter, it's like 3 inches to the west side of that fence. So we would just plan to leave the fence. We're not putting any windows on that side of the property. And so we would just fence off that 2 foot, 3-inch segment. We were not going to require that the neighbor take down the fence and put it 3 inches.
So the visual said 2.5 feet.
Yes, sir.
2.5, like 2 feet. What, 9 inches from the fence, or from the right where the fence is?
So yeah.
You could technically walk back there.
Yes.
Very tight. Right?
Yeah, very tight, but you could.
And any other accesses from the other side?
Yes, sir. Pardon?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Commissioner, for the record, the 2 boxes are the additions that you're doing.
Yes, sir.
What do you gain by having these additions?
Yeah, so we're actually, right now, the house is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and we're changing it to a 4 bedroom, 4 bath. Right now we have 2 kids. My wife is trying to convince us to have a 3rd. So this would allow her more standing in that argument. But we also have elderly parents, and we'd love for them they live Montana, North Carolina, and Oregon respectively. And so we'd love for them to be able to stay with us, and that back portion is kind of the guest quarters for them to get more time with their grandchildren.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean McCoy for the record. Blink twice if you want this to not pass. For the reasons stated. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be here.
I get it. I'm just making it.
No.
It's the St. Patrick's Day.
I hear you.
So the 3 things that I can look at when we deal with setbacks is we're looking at safety, we're looking at privacy, and kind of consistency. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about it. I've read through the materials. This is going before Planning Commission tomorrow. So the city's already kind of put out their materials and the conditions they're looking for. I'm assuming you're on board with all that. If not, I'd like you to maybe address some of the concerns that you might have with the conditions they're outlining. But the first 2 that I mentioned, the safety and the privacy, it sounds like those have been resolved. Your neighbor's on board. That was kind of my first starting point. Sounds like that was your first starting point. So you got that out of the way. That's fantastic. Safety looked like in the report that the fire department says they have no issues here. It does sound a little, it's a little narrow, but there was nothing in the code. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these points.
Not to my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're fully supportive of all the comments that have been.
Okay.
And specific, I think the only questionable one was the engineering of that utility easement.
Okay.
Because that did, our eave would encroach on that, and so that it was changing the design, which
Resolve
I
that.
think the gable roof actually fits the design better.
Okay. And so then the last thing is just, it's the, as we had a comment earlier, you know, if we have 5-foot setback, you're allowed a 2.5 setback. Does that mean everybody else in the neighborhood is gonna be allowed to have a 2.5 setback? And if the answer is no, what makes this case, you know, special? And, you know, I don't want to answer for you, but I mean, definitely the picture you showed kind of shows a different side view for your neighbor. Like, it doesn't look like there's a bedroom window right there.
Right.
You know, and so maybe you can talk a little bit about why you think it's actually appropriate where you were asking.
Could we go back to that slide? So I think one of the biggest changes, we don't use this fireplace. So one of the things that we're doing is taking this fireplace out.
Okay.
This is the view going towards the street. As you can see, there's nothing there right now from an aesthetic perspective that sticks out. So with matching shutters like this, as you are to look at it, and it being tucked back, where we're still going to be that 10 or 15 feet or so back behind there. It's not like we're coming where it's going to be consistent like that. So I think it is still going to be tucked away. You even have this nice tree that we light up around the holidays to give that extra consistency or privacy protection. And then, like I did say, to your point, 4 doors down, there's a very similar addition. Now, if I thought that because one person did it, everybody should do it, I would have a much different tone this evening. But I would say just the how involved this process is, I think is great. Not only is it relatively costly, but Jeff Foster and the city government, I think, does a wonderful job of really taking a lot of consideration and in multiple meetings posing a lot of considerations to us that legitimately forced us to change the design and be thoughtful about the impact that we'd be making.
Bill Shrimp for the record. So I'd have to say it's kind of nice to see you after you talk to the city a whole bunch, because that takes a lot of what we talk about here. In the picture here, what is that gray or blue wall on the other side of the property line there? Is that your neighbor's house?
It's a what do you call it? Not like a overhang, a carport.
It's a carport?
Yeah.
Okay. And how far away from the fence is the carport on their side of the property?
I didn't go over there to measure it. I think it's within a foot. It's relatively
So
close.
it's pretty close. Okay.
One thing that I wanted to be, not only because my neighbor's been fully supportive of us with that, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't questioning anything that bringing up any questions of things he might done on his property.
No, for sure, I understand. And I was just wondering, okay, so there's, I do think that it's wonderful you started by talking to your neighbor. And
Thank you.
You are the neighborhood advisory board, so I think that was a good place to start. And
I think one of the things that was an obvious question for us is how we get enough light in that area without the windows. And so we're going to put banks of skylights on both sides with vaulted ceilings and then windows to fully light those areas up. Not that this is an architectural review by any means, but you know, we're not just trying to force space into a property.
Okay.
Donna Keats, for the record. I'm looking at the aerial photo that you have in your application materials that have lot velocity.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a picture of that, but it's really hard for me to tell where the house fronts on Manzanita, correct?
Pardon?
House fronts on Manzanita.
Yes, ma'am.
So the picture makes it look like there's another building or something on the back side of the home.
There was a shed at the very back corner. It blew away in the windstorm, so it's no longer there.
Building B, the picture doesn't exist anymore.
The little, I'm not familiar with the picture you're referring to. I could come, do you want me to come look at it? Yeah.
I can't make sense out of this being your house.
So that's our property.
So it's like there's a.
Yeah, it's not a structure in the back. That's just a raised space. There was a shed in the back there. They used to be there, but there's, that's a deck. And then there's like a back row spot. So this is kind of an L and then you got the deck. Yeah, as you can see right there. So the deck.
And this is all the way backside of the property line. This is your house, right? No,
No, I don't think so.
they yell it out long.
Right. Yeah, that is, you're right, it's not mine. Well, no, it is. So you got an L here and then that's a deck that's off that side. And then a bunch of open space here at the very back. Yeah. So there's no other structure. There's just a deck here. There wasn't used to be a shed here.
Where's the edge of the house?
Right here. So we'd be doing here and then here with doors that would go onto the deck. Of course.
I have another question.
Yes.
How does, this, question was, so you don't have any windows on the left side because the price. And then there was a question from staff about the easements, and you said something about the easements, so you're going for gable easement, okay, but where is the easement? Is the
Yeah.
building actually on top of the easement where you might utilities?
No, so there's a 5-foot easement that runs right along the property line. And so it's 2.5 feet in our area and 2.5 feet in our neighbor's area. So for us, if we go up to the 2.5 feet that we're asking for as part of our major deviation, we wouldn't be encroaching in the easement. Now, what it did change is the easement says that even roofing material or an eave could not go over that. So that's where we changed from having the eave there to a gable where we can straighten it down. So with the gable roof, that we run it off either way with flashing and then running it down north and south. Worked with our builder on that. I have had the pleasure of working in the residential skylight industry for the last 12 years. It does not make me an expert at all, but I definitely have flashed a roof a time or two, kind of like I said at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I can work with my builder to ensure, obviously, we don't want water damage at all on our property or pooling water of any kind, both from a safety perspective and the mosquitoes.
So I see you have swales on the back end of the property, and then they're coming around, all the discharge comes here, we get that rain. So
Yeah.
discharge then comes to the street.
No, if we look at the very front of the house. Yeah, on like the back bubble. Yeah, so we're set back here. And the gable's gonna even be back from the front of the house. So we have this rock, the rock that goes around, and if we could actually move it up now to the that picture of the side yard. So, yeah, so like if runoff, it would be right here where this tree is and this area, well back from the street. And then in the back, it would actually provide water to those nice trees that overlook, which would be lovely to get. At least that would be our design. I understand the torrential rains are definitely, we experience them, but we feel like this definitely would not add to the discharge on at the street level because it's set back far enough. Thank you.
Want to make sure we don't forget about Stacy online. Stacy, if you had any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
That all we have on Zoom? Okay. Any other NAD members? Should they open up? Okay. All right. Any final?
Really appreciate everyone's time. I know it seems I understand the rules of our community and especially the woman that spoke earlier, the bad experiences that these types of situations might have caused. I assure all of you this has been very thought out. We've really enjoyed working with Jeff Foster at the city, and we would love your support when we speak with the city tomorrow night. And again, sorry for the delay on that. It was due to a snowstorm, not mismanagement.
Chair, I didn't receive any public comment, but if anyone would like to provide comment in person or online, just raise your hand. Seeing none?
Okay, thank you very much.
Did you want to stay or?
No, you have to stay till the end.
Stay till the end. Perfect.
I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, you can.
Okay.
You're on it today.
I'm glad. What's next?
Yeah, sorry, it's the Irish. Don't take myself seriously. All right. Moving on then, let's turn to item B2. This is LDC 26-00059, Wilch property side setback deviation. I don't see a presentation here, but do we have someone?
We've got some.
Okay.
Like you move to print images. Okay. State your name for us.
My name is Ken Rose, I'm an architect.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Pardon?
Your name?
Oh, my name is Ken Rose.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Welch, the property owner at 30 Robin Place.
I was gonna introduce you, but you think this fine. So I've been practicing architecture in Reno for 45 years. People here know the big line. The project is a rather simple, straightforward project. Chris has a hobby. And that hobby is trail biking. So what he likes to do. Let's start with this one. There we go. Well, I'm having technical difficulties. First of all, this is Chris's house right here. He lives in a cul-de-sac on Bowman Place. Chris's house is built back in the early 50s, small, brick structure, typical small bungalow type houses, very close to Hunter Lake Elementary School. These houses were built with small, very small compact garages. You may realize that. And there's only one garage at Chris's house. That garage is located right here. Now, and off to the side here is an existing carport that is very low and unfortunately encroaches 8 feet into the rear setback. That's pre-existing. This is Chris's truck. It's about 8.5 feet wide. It's 8.5, 9 feet tall. And it's 20 feet long. And it's parked right here in front of his carport and his garage. So Chris is asking for a variance, a major encroachment into a setback for 50% of a 5-foot setback to allow a corner of this garage to be built next to his neighbor's house. This is the corner right here. This neighbor's yard right here, we have quite a bit of yard there. 15 to 20 feet garden area. This is his neighbor's house right here. All this is backyard area. And when the garage gets built, it'll stick up forward a little bit. We're not going to do anything to increase the over coverage of the garage carport in the back. It's there, pre-existing. But we need something that's a little bit longer than the 18, 20 feet to get his truck in. So. What we're asking for is that we flip it down to the next screen. Let's read it. This is Chris's house. This is construction truck. And his RV. That's his house. The neighbor's house. They have a little room to drain. I'll come in and play in just a minute. This is also Chris's house. His work truck, his RV, and his house right here. It's in the cul-de-sac. This is the neighbor who's on the other side of Chris's house. And that's Chris's house right there. This is a neighbor that's adjacent to the side. The neighbors have reviewed our plans. Here it is now. This is the letter from them. Expressing their approval. And you can see, if you can read it, see some of the benefits that they like, that they're going to enjoy if this project is approved. So this is from the neighbors, not just from Chris. Okay. This is Chris's property. Marvin Place. Neighbors to the west. Orientation is to the south here. Setback, this is the setback area right here, that's the violation currently of the setback. At the planning department, says, well, we'll let that go, and then this is for 30 years before. And what we would like to do is be able to get a carport, not a carport, but a actual garage that will fit in here on this side of the property, so he can enclose his vehicle. If he doesn't enclose his vehicle, it will sit out in the street, or it will sit on his driveway. And then if we can enclose it into a garage, we will get it out of public view where it belongs, in storage. This is his property line to the east. This is his setback. 5-foot setback. We are asking to allow us to take the point here and paint to add to his square footage, 9 square feet, to the front of his garage for several reasons. So we can get a garage door wide enough to go into a garage. And to give us enough length to park his vehicle. Now, there's a lot of advantages that we think we offer that was addressed with neighbors. The reason we're putting it in here is to protect it, to get it off the street. So that we can still use snow plows and have public safety vehicles access the cul-de-sac. And the area that we're going to add is 9 square feet. Now, give me an idea what the architecture will be. This is a section view garage. This is the encroachment right here. This is the existing carport in the back. Garage will slope, single slope from the driveway to the backyard. All the drainage goes straight to the back. There will be no drainage onto the side property until it's vacant. This is what the front looks like. This is existing. This is his house. And this is the addition of the garage, midway to the side. So the architecture for the garage is going to be 1 hour fire protection, double sided, which is fire resistant. The roof will be corrugated metal roof, which is fire resistant. There'll be no windows on each side, because that is a transmission for possible fire damage. There will be a window at back. Well, we need this extra height to have the 9-foot garage door. Anybody here have a garage? Camper. Not put a camper in the garage. It's something to do with unless you have a clear ceiling. But this will match the character of the existing building. The elevation of the seal, the roof will be lower than the gable roof next to it of the existing building. And you can park it, it'll have windows in the garage door. They're parked, get the vehicle off the street, it'll look like a regular neighborhood where the kids play and our kids are playing there. And right now, the existing carport also slopes down into the backyard. We're going to live on that. It's like this. The slope actually goes down to the bottom of the backyard, and the easement. If you look at the segment. There are no utilities in the setback. All utilities on the side of the property. No electrical easement, no drainage easement, no water easement. This is the fence line for the existing neighbor. Their house is way over here. Their front yard is right here. We'll take Chris's truck off of this visual impact and put it in the garage. Oh, it looks like a regular building. Any questions? Yes.
I'm Don Keats. I was wondering, why don't you just move it back 5 more feet, not in the encroachment?
Well, we're not going to increase, this property is already in violation of the rear yard setback.
Oh, okay.
So we don't want to increase that. We think it would be a little easier to handle with the neighborhood advisory board and the planning commission. All we asked for was this instead of all of that.
Well, we just, I can't do the triangle off my calculator, but it's not,
Here, can you see this?
I can, but if you moved it back, so it wasn't in the easement,
Well,
is that then not long enough?
if we move it back, we have to push the whole building back further.
Right, because you.
That's already in violation of it. It's already in violation of that.
I understand, this is because need that entire length for this vehicle.
Yes.
Yes.
Bill Shrimp for the record, the letter that you received from the neighbor, is that the neighbor that's right there by the fence?
Directly
That
adjacent
it would
to
be the
that.
impacted neighbor,
Yes.
Yeah, this is this neighbor right here.
Okay. And you guys talked, they've seen, and that neighbor has seen these drawings and. Okay.
Yeah, they have.
I'll be happy it's not actually a trucking.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's why they like to sign the letters. Yeah, let's put your truck in the garage.
Okay.
And that's where it belongs. If it's not in use, let's get it off the street. Let's get it out of the driveway. And when it comes time for him to take his week's vacation or get out on the trails and ride his bicycle, which I endorse, that's wonderful. Let's take it out of storage and put it to good use. But in the meantime, let's not advertise it.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Sean McCoy for the record, thank you for the presentation. Some of the things we talked about setbacks earlier, we're talking about, neighbor, right, privacy. You've already done the work there. It's the neighbors on board, so that kind of answers that question. That's fantastic. One of the other concerns I had was, looking at it, it looked like house and then corrugated steel. And it kind of looked like there was a little bit of a difference there in material, but it sounds like you've got the neighbor on board there as well, and they actually like how it works with them. So I think that's great. So the questions that I kind of came in tonight, I think you guys have kind of resolved. You've done your work ahead of time, which is fantastic. The thing I guess I'm wondering about is that if the city's looking at planning this, you guys might not know the answer. Is it effectively kind of going to grandfather in the setback? I don't want to call it a violation. The existing kind of encroachment you have on the setback right now, you're not even, if this project is approved, does that kind of lock you in? Are you protected there? Or could eventually they come back and say, you know what, you still have to move that back up. You're not getting the full
Yeah.
length. Okay,
It's a done deal.
okay.
Because there's really no room for anything else up there. And Mr. Foster and I discussed it at some length. Actually, we were looking at different ways that we could put the footprint in so it would work with the least amount of difficulty.
Okay.
And that means neighborhood performance as well. I want to stress the fact that the corrugated roof and the corrugated double sided will be a dark gray. And the neighbors are particularly sensitive to that. They like it because their look is a corrugated metal gray look. So we'll have a little bit of a transition. You can see it, go back to the. We'll have a bit of transition from the neighbor's look, which is a black corrugated look, to another corrugated look right next door. So it'll look like they're married together. And that was something that I insist upon because metal will last a lot longer. It matches, coordinates with the neighbor. It's also 1 hour protection. I've done a lot of metal buildings, residential metal buildings, where we had to use fire protective materials, like an inclined village, extreme fire damage. Not so much here, but still, it's a way to help protect the neighbors. And I'll point out that in all of my years of experience, there's a major difference between a property line and a setback line. You can build on a setback line all the way up to the fence, to the property line, as long as it's not a structure. You can have walkways, you can have gardens, you can have anything that's not habitable. You just can't have a building. So in this case, we're asking for the small little point to be granted into permanent building of the garage. Otherwise, we can't build it. It's just too tight. We can't get the garage door space in here to get the truck through. We're actually cutting it very close to where we're at right now. I guarantee you, when we're done, it's gonna look pretty sharp. Any other questions? Yes.
I can't really tell about what colors you're looking at. I mean, I think it's a great idea because I would really like to have your truck in the garage
Yes.
if I was your neighbor. So it's like, a small price to pay. And since you have the fire protection, I'm curious, I don't know much about metal roofs, but some of the redeveloped properties in my neighborhood have metal. They happen to be black, but they're really obnoxious for the heat index. What they do.
They're really what? Sorry?
Heat index. It's everything up.
Yeah.
So what about this? Is there any way to mitigate some of the effect of it?
Yes, there's a difference between the heat index between a gloss black finish and a matte gray finish.
So it's not reflective.
Not reflective. It's a type of paint that we use. Okay. And if it heats, it's a low slope, and as it heats off, it also cools off in the evening.
So it's not gonna generate more heat than a normal shingle roof,
Well,
or does it?
and it won't generate, it's a reflective roof too, by the way, so it reflects heat off the roof. And all of that becomes, it's a backlit, we know that, but it's not an occupied space, it's a garage.
I'm thinking more about the whole neighborhood problem, like my house doesn't get cool at night anymore. I'm wondering if there's anything you can do, trees or something.
And we'll need to talk to the neighbors, us, right next to them about their blackboard too. How far do you go with that?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Chris?
No, thank you for your consideration. Like Ken said, my fiance and I travel around a lot, mountain bike and take ski trips. One of the biggest benefits that the neighbors see, obviously, is that truck is out of the driveway, because if it's not parked in the driveway, it's in the street, right? And it's kind of an eyesore, especially for the neighborhood. Talk to all my neighbors, they're definitely in support of it. I think it's going to be a benefit for the neighborhood and my neighbors, especially.
Thank you.
All right, well, without any more questions, I'll just take my seat.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ken.
Thank you. Let's open it up to public comment. If we have any on this item?
I do not have any in person. We do not have any online.
Okay, last chance for in-person public comment on this one. We will now turn to item B3. This is LDC 26-00060 Garfield Farmhouses zoning map amendment.
I have the applicant online tonight.
Okay,
Derek, I'm going to share your presentation to screen. Should be able to unmute yourself. You'll just have to let me know when you want me to switch between slides.
Great, excuse me, great, thank you, thanks for having me here. I had hoped to be there in person, unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way, so I'll do the best I can with this. And next slide, please.
See the slide, Derek?
Can we go to the next slide, please?
I think if you spoke on that slide, we didn't hear you. You cut out a bit.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming I should start over.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. We heard your first slide. Just when you said next slide, we didn't hear anything after that.
Oh, okay. I didn't. If we can click to the second slide, I'm ready to go.
We're on the second slide. Can you see it? Location
Oh,
slide.
It's not updating on my screen, but I will.
Just give me a second, Derek.
Sure, I can just go through it on my screen and we can go from there. I mean, I know. Yes, there we go. Okay, so the project location is on the north side of Plum Lane. It's 3 currently vacant parcels. Driving access to the site is from Fairfield, the cul-de-sac that you can see at the north there. Next slide, please. Okay, so the request is a zone change. The parcels total just over 1 acre. They're currently zoned single family 3, SF3, and we're asking for SF5. This would allow for the construction of 4 single family homes. I realize people can do basic math. We have 1 acre. We're asking for SF5, but our plan is to only build 4, to make 4 lots, build 4 houses. To back that up, I can tell you that we filed a parcel map with the city today. We didn't file that because we're insisting that this zone change, or that we're completely confident the zone change will go through. We realize there's some risk, but we did it to reassure people that we only are asking for 4 lots. So next slide, please. That's a view looking north from Plum Lane. You can see the parcel's empty. Next, please. That's the view looking south from Fairfield Avenue. So that's the end of the cul-de-sac, and the empty parcels are behind that cul-de-sac. Next slide, please. So that's a map of the existing zoning. This is the city's zoning map. We're asking for SF5. You can see that matches the zoning to the north that we're contiguous to. And then there's also SF5 zoning east and west of us. Next, please. And that's simply a map showing what the zoning map would look like if this request is granted. Next, please. The master plan accommodates this request. In other words, the zone we're requesting is compatible with the underlying master plan that's in place now, so no change to the master plan. And next, please. So first, I'm going to back up and say that I realize there's been some input from the neighborhood. I went through some of that briefly. I'm happy to get that. I'm here to deliver information and to get information. I realize these things generate a lot of emotion. Change is always a bit uncomfortable, but I want to reassure people that I'm going to make myself available to meet with people. I can walk the site with neighbors. We want an ongoing discussion. We want it to be a productive discussion. So I'm ready to hear input. I'm ready to interact with people as needed, to try to, love it or hate it, let's try to make this a smooth process and see how we can work together to voice our differences. So this is an exhibit that shows existing development pattern in the neighborhood. So we're asking for lots that are roughly a quarter acre, 0.27 acre each in the final condition. So the orange lots on this map are existing lots, built lots in the neighborhood that are already at about that size. Some of them are in fact smaller. So it's possible that some of the comments that I reviewed that said people are concerned about very small lots in the neighborhood. It's possible some of those people are already living on a lot that's exactly the size that we're proposing. So I think it's important to recognize that what we're doing is compatible with the existing development pattern of the area. We're proposing lots that match what's there now. Next slide, please. So here's a picture of an example of the architecture. We're looking for residential style architecture compatible with what's in the area. I'm not going to say that this color matches what's there, but certainly that's flexible. We're going to be taking a look at that. But this is an example architecture image. Important issues here are, again, we're only asking for, it's only going to be 4 lots. Effectively, every planning document in the city of Reno promotes infill development and additional housing, particularly housing close to existing arterial roadways and close to employment centers. So this project hits all those targets. It's exactly what the city's long-range housing plans identify as a needed sort of project. So I feel that we're hitting a need that the area has identified, and we're trying to fill that. Additionally, obviously an infill site, no expansion of city service areas. Utilities are already around the site. Police and fire service is already to the area. So we're not out on the fringe expanding the size of the city. Next slide, please. Again, this is just an architectural image, an example. We're looking for a very standard residential type development. Next slide, please. So the process here, this is all we filed for with the city now is the zone change, and then as I mentioned, the parcel map. So there's the remaining process is this zone change has to be reviewed by the city. That's underway now. Then we'll go to a planning commission hearing, then a city council hearing. Excuse me. I'll do my best to keep people notified of when those dates are. We're not on any agendas yet. More importantly, the owner started this project by meeting with the neighbors. He went out and knocked on doors and kind of got the word out there about what he was doing. And that's something that neighborhood groups and the city always ask to do. In my experience, it's kind of unique for an owner to do that ahead of a project. So I hope that was a fruitful move. I hope that goes some way towards making this a civil and productive process. And we certainly want to remain available, and we want to talk to people as needed to answer questions. So on the face of it, pretty simple application, a simple zone change. I know in practice, everybody wants to know what the project looks like, so I'll do my best to speak to that as well. That's all I have. I'll be happy to respond to any questions. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more point. The owner is in fact in the audience, and I'd like to introduce him, have him maybe stand up and introduce himself, and just give a quick input on that, and further make himself available to the audience. So Walker, if you're there, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. As Derek introduced me and went over the presentation, my name is Walker Smith. I have been a local builder of residential houses for the past 7 or 8 years or so between Reno, Carson, and Verdi. Late last year, my brother, who's also in the audience, and I partnered up and purchased this property with the intent of building some single-family homes. As Derek mentioned, it's currently zoned as SF3. which for those who don't know, it means you can have a maximum of 3 lots per acre. Also has the access easement from Fairfield that was adopted by the city in 2019. Again, as you mentioned, we're looking to just build 4 houses. That's what's causing this request for the change to go to SF5. If there was such an SF4, we would go for the SF4, but the next bump up is SF5. So it means you may go up to as many as 5 lots, but again, as he mentioned, we've submitted to the city a boundary line adjustment application, which essentially is just a site map showing the divisions of the parcels to 4. So that's what we're wanting to do. I want to be as respectful to the neighborhood as possible. Respect the architecture, the people that are there. We've had purchasing a couple different investors reach out to us who have a different vision for it that I disagree with. Assisted living was one, multifamily was another. I think that's completely wrong for this area, this community. I think that, as Derek mentioned, at 4 lots, they're consistent with what's there currently. And again, being respectful and adding value and bringing good neighbors is our goal here. So as you mentioned, I sent out a pamphlet, knocked on doors back in November to talk with any of the neighbors that were available and willing. And I was able to talk to a few and hear their concerns. I also talked with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, who own a property to the west. They met me for coffee, and I explained my goals here, and they were very supportive. And Adam Pruitt obviously has reached out. He's been in contact with me and voiced the concerns as well. And so as I told him, I'm always available by phone and email. I'm happy to give out my information to anybody who wants to talk to me. But yeah, thank you for your time.
My question.
Okay, yeah, let's go on the NAB, see what we have.
This property has interesting history. Because it was parcel and now it's not. And so at some point, this parcel will combine. I'll now have farmland address. Not, it wasn't that long ago. Now they want to get separated again, only to upzone, which of course, I'm assuming since you're a builder, it makes sense to you to put 4 houses on there instead of 3. Financially. Sound way to do it. So I'm looking at this thinking, I wonder what's really going on here. Just like you were trying to say, no, I assured everybody. Because your conversation about meeting goals and policies of infill development and a appropriate place to introduce higher density, which you're not really doing. And so most of the verbiage in your application actually sounds like somebody who's really going to go put in some commercial there or a live workspace or something else that's allowed under SF5 with a special use permit but not a zone change. In other words, a lot of things you can do in SF5 with a special use permit doesn't apply once you get the zone change, right?
Sure.
So imagine you're running into an issue of trust about what you're really going to do with this property. I had that concern since it was actually 3 properties, now it's not. I mean, it was 1 acre, now it's not. Now it wants to be smaller, so you put 4 lots in there. So I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't put, I mean, I kind of drew it out to see where you might put 4 lots. Okay, so now comes the question part. Sorry about my narrative. I'm looking at the maps, and of course, the boundary lines are a little bit unclear, but we have this little bit of Fairfield circle where it looks like it kind of cuts your corner of the northernmost lot. And so then you're saying in your narrative that you're going to put access to all 4 houses from Fairfield to Plum. So that's going to be where the last house is, but you'll have gated emergency access to Plum.
Correct.
But then you also say, so we can connect bicycles, blah, blah, blah. So this is not really going to be private. I mean, usually the gated no access roads are locked except for the fire. You know, people can get in there.
Yes.
Sort of like not bicycles, basically. And that means the bicycle traffic and the other things that you tout in your application will be coming through people's driveways, basically. So I'm kind of wondering how, you know, more specifically, how you're thinking about doing that. Because there's not a lot of width of the Fairfield on the circle that cuts the property. So you have to make your access road in the side yard, basically, in the easement. Or if you cut back the easement, then it's over for it's 5 feet, and then it's a long driveway here to get to each of the houses, which are then stacked in a way that the pictures that you know, this is our architecture made no sense. That's not actually what it's saying. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
You're gonna have to do that long townhome running thing, off the one driveway, and I'm just wondering what the plans are about that, how you're gonna get that in and out access there. How the bicycles and pedestrians are gonna easily connect to one lane, et cetera.
Sure.
Expound on that part.
Sure, absolutely. So,
Also, the history thing, I'm not curious about, not
Yeah.
parcels and not parcels.
so as I understand it, there was an old stone house that was built in the early 1900s on that lot. It was taken down in about 2015. And in the original subdivision map back to 1901, I believe it was those 3 parcels. So it may have changed at one point and then it reverted back. I'm not exactly sure on that. But it's those lots you talked about, how that cul-de-sac is kind of tight and odd. It was kind of sliced up in an odd way originally. So those 2 lots to the northwest, they encroach into that cul-de-sac. So the actual cul-de-sac,
It's on the.
right, it's kind of a weird cutout shape. So the cul-de-sac is actually quite a bit bigger radius, and that easement it's over 25 feet wide. That comes out of the cul-de-sac, yeah, so it actually goes beyond what you see in that notch out there. And so the plan would, again, to utilize that as access, and there would be a common driveway, 20 to 25 feet wide, and it would come through, and then driveways would spur off that. As far as the pedestrian bicycle access, that's in the application, but I'm not sure that that's going to be the ultimate plan going forward, is to utilize that, or if it'll just be for the fire access only, and that the plan is to have that, again, fire access only locked gate at all times.
So,
For
like,
sure.
pedestrians are coming down the access roads.
Right,
So you should revise that.
sure.
Because it's good, blah, blah, that every application has in it, but it doesn't apply, it should. So
Understood.
you're talking about, you're gonna have a private access road, what we're talking about, when driveways are perpendicular.
Correct.
They'll actually have driveways to the garage.
Correct. Yes, so the access would be off of Fairfield on that private drive going south, and then driveways to each house would be going west.
Then how are you gonna orient the houses?
They would all be facing east, the front of the houses.
So there's only 2 properties down that would be impacted by the driveway view. So it's not gonna be close, in other words, 2 properties on the east that are adjacent to your 4 parcels.
Yes,
You'll have the front setback, which is I believe 20 feet or something, in SF5.
Right.
So they won't really be impacting existing neighbors.
correct.
Then on the back side, that's interesting. Okay, thank you.
Can I follow up with one point on that? Unfortunately, the audio quality apparently from the people on the board is kind of low at my end. But I did hear a issue of trust statement. It's important to point out that the zone change doesn't really change the allowed uses on the site. In other words, the city maintains a table of allowed uses for each zoning category. And for these residential zones, the list of uses is essentially the same. So it's not like we're going to come in here with an auto repair shop with this SF5 zone change. It's not allowed now, and it wouldn't be allowed with the zone change. So there's effectively no change to the allowed uses on the site if we were to get the SF5 zoning.
I believe that you can do different things with special use permits in SF5. That's all I'm saying. So once you have a zone change, you can then do a special use permit and do something that isn't building these houses. Like you can do duplexes, you can do multi-family, a lot of things you can do in SF5.
You can, the only change in the residential table is that we would be allowed to do attached units. Right now, Walker is not looking at attached units.
For what it's worth, my background is single family detached only. I've never done townhomes, commercial, anything like that.
I'm just giving you a hard time because here's the thing that this is the stuff that people care about in their lifestyle.
I appreciate that.
And so, I'm not saying that I don't trust you, because I don't have a feeling about you at all.
Sure.
Both single family houses, 4 instead of 3. Good for you, right? Because we're still not, I don't think it looks like it's making it 2 debts. Or that you're making the property so small that it's actually going to change the character of the neighborhood. And so I'm not really, but I do know that a lot of times, in my neighborhood, and other neighborhoods who have been here, people get zone changes. There are some details of things you can do in SF5. You can do multifamily with a special use permit, and that's a really big lot. Stuff fly in there by the time you added the density bonuses and everything else. So if I was your neighbor, I would be worried about somebody coming along and making you a really juicy offer, buying those 4 parcels from you and multifamily all of them. Because you could do that to get the zone change in size. And so that's what I'm talking about. It is something that's doable.
So
That's not.
I'm looking at the city's zoning code right now, and I'm looking at the table of allowed uses. And for dwelling multifamily, that use is not allowed in SF3, and it is also not allowed in SF5. So I would say we could have a certain comfort level that we're talking about single family housing here.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I got it now. Thank you for that clarification. I thought it changed one over where all that multifamily is allowed.
Sure, and this is why we're happy to talk about this. We'd rather get the information out there than have people form the wrong ideas. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I see it. Oh, conditional use permit, I should have been saying. Steps, but yeah, it's SF8, not SF5. Okay, I got it. Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate it.
So Bill Shrimp for the record. So Derek Walker, thank you for being here. Definitely appreciate you taking the time. I know you kind of have to be, but thank you anyway. I want to make sure that I understand the easement situation going on. It looks like all of the properties that are, what is that, directly north of you, they already have what I imagine is an easement into the existing street. I did see a comment that was submitted via public comment that said that easement is for emergency access only. Is that correct to your understanding, or is that for, people who live there?
For the easement in the cul-de-sac or the easement on the east side of this property?
The existing easements, because that's what the comment was in reference to, as I interpreted it. And I'm looking at how the property lines are done. So the properties have to have an easement into the street, same as the parcel is as it is now. Is that emergency access only? Because that was the comment.
My understanding about the easement to this particular property on the east side is it is for private access, not for emergency only.
Okay. And you're gonna have, I assume, some sort of like common driveway that would come down on the east side of that property. Okay. So I know you don't have all of these answers now, probably, but does this project pencil with 3 single families?
It's very tight, but I think it does.
Okay. And so 4 is better.
4
Gives
is
you more
better.
margin.
It's better. Yes.
Okay. All right. And
So I'd like to jump on that. Sorry to interrupt. If you had another financial question, go ahead. Oh, okay. So if I bring a project to the city, and if they tell Walker that he's got to put in a water tank up on the hill somewhere, and Walker says, I don't have $2.5 million to, even, to start that project, the city says, tough. Your spreadsheet is not our problem. So I'm not too excited to have applicants get beat up on the other side of that issue, where they're supposed to get beat up over their spreadsheet, but they can't use it in their defense. So that may seem like a minor point to the audience, but to me, that's a big point. But I think a more important point is that Walker is following policy directive from the city of Reno. They want infill projects. They want density near downtown. They want projects on underutilized lots. I mean, these are all policies in the master plan in the zoning code. So I think we're dead on target in terms of hitting the public policy documents that have been developed by the residents of Reno and by the city. So to me, that's the major point. Thank you.
Yeah, and I understand your point about that ship trying to sail both ways, but you're in an advisory meeting, so. So the, and I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. As far as putting more density in there, the only comment I would say is, maybe you don't have the answer now, is be careful of your setbacks there. Because you look at the existing properties, people are really close to their property lines, at least as far as documentation was part of your application. So there's some that are right on it, and so pay attention to your setbacks. That's why I asked that question, just so that you don't come back in another 3 months and go, oh shoot, we need to come back and look at our setbacks, because to get 4 properties in there, we need to do all this squeezing with setbacks. So as you start getting into it, so pay attention to that, because you're going to run into that, particularly as you're taking up, I don't know, 18 feet for a driveway on the front, plus another 90 in a garage and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
pay attention to that as you go forward, what your setbacks are going to be, please. But otherwise, so thank you for being here.
Another question? Okay, Donna Keats, remember? When I was looking at your air photo, I mean, it does, I see what Bill is saying, it does look like, you know, the property line is right on the house to the east of, that's why I asked the question about the road, the house just east of the northern 2 properties. Looks like it's really pretty much right on the property line. Then I know these may not be quite accurate, but I'm repeating things that I'm looking at, so I'll see this point. So I was wondering, this doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I'll support your thing, because I think it looks fine to me, but are you gonna put ADUs with your houses?
I'm planning to do it.
Planning to at this
Yeah, in
point?
the room.
Okay, I was just curious if we're really talking about 8 or 4.
No, not planning to do ADUs.
Okay, thank you.
Sean McCoy for the record, when I was reading through it, it talked about, SF5, Lackady 5, how do we ensure it's only gonna be 4? One of the comments, or I guess the discussions in here was that it's roughly 47,000 square feet. There is a minimum lot of 9,000. My high school math, that still comes to 5. So that could still work out to 5, but was it more about the width, limitation? Is that why you kind of locked in at 4? Do you see yourselves locked in at 4? Or do you think there's a way where you could actually try to squeeze 5?
For me, no, it has to do with the floor plans that I plan on using. There's not enough width to squeeze 5 in. I'm locked in as far as what I plan to put in there. They don't fit at 5. And I think that the lots, again, to Derek's point earlier, I think that at 4, they are more consistent with what's existing there. At 5, they're quite a bit smaller. And I don't have any interest in that.
And I should clarify, I probably wasn't clear enough in my presentation, but my project engineer told me today that we have filed for the 4 parcel division. So essentially what we're trying to do is assure people that we're only going to get 4 parcels out of this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The other question I had pertained to the road. And whether or not you thought it was going to go all the way through to Plum or not, or is it really just going to be a private road, controlled and limited?
It will not be a through road. Again, the plan is to just have that access off Fairfield as a private driveway only, with a locked gate off of Plum for emergency vehicles only. And that's per the fire department's request.
Anybody else have any comments for the bill?
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your interest in maintaining the 0.27 acres, consistency with everything around it, if that's what makes it doable. We're wanting to go smaller, I told you about it, but.
One final question I had, and it's showing for the record again, is the only thing I noticed is that we had the map up and showing the S3s and the S5s. It looked like everything bordering Plum was S3.
Okay.
Except for your proposal.
Yes.
Is there, why? Is there an explanation for, here we go. So.
Yeah, I can speak to that hopefully. So a lot of fast growing cities, a lot of cities in the American West have sort of grown beyond their borders. So 50 years ago, this was all large lot residential. The SF3 zoning would have been considered really small. So that's changed. The parcels have been split up over time. If you were planning this from scratch today, but you had Plum Lane in place, nobody would put SF3 along a major arterial street. They would put multifamily, then they'd feather it back to SF3. So feather back to SF3. They'd put multifamily and SF5 along the busy street. So if I want to pat myself on the back, I could say I'm bringing this thing sort of up to date by adding some density along a major arterial. I know the neighborhood doesn't want to hear that, but these single family lots on an arterial is a bit of an anachronism. I realize it's a nice neighborhood. I'm not being critical of that, but it's not how you'd lay out a city today. So we're sort of left with that legacy. I think using this infill for four houses is kind of a good compromise. Bring some density, but also respect the neighborhood.
Thank you for that.
I have one more question, I'm sorry. It's about the lot splits. And this was a 1.08 acre plot, or whatever it was, 1.06, I guess. Then when it was parceled into 3, it became 1.08. Anyway, it gained almost 900 square feet when it was reparceled. I was wondering how that happened. Now you've done your parcel map, split it down to 4. What is your cumulative footage? How the bigger or the smaller amount of land?
I believe it's still 1.06. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek.
It's not unusual for there to be some discrepancies between the county assessor data, the title report data. If I want to scare anybody, go read your title report and check for mistakes, because I guarantee older properties will have some. What we do when we start, if you're going to start a construction project, you're going to go out and get a survey done and know where those corners are. So that number would be clarified. The data I have says 1.08 right now.
So do you have, for your parcel map, you said you submitted your parcel map, but you don't survey. Do a survey when you want to build?
We did do a survey.
You did do a survey.
Yes.
For parcel map, so
Yes.
you guys know how much square feet you have.
Yes.
Do you think it's larger or not?
I was corrected. I thought it was 1.06, but.
1.06 was the original, where they split it into 3.
Right.
I will check with what the engineer came up with on the parcel map, and I'll use that number going forward. That one will be correct.
I'm just saying, it came up as one thing when it was 3 parcels, and that wasn't the same as it was when it was 1 parcel. So I just wondering.
No, thank you. I'll check on that. I'm curious about that myself.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Now I'm really done.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. We appreciate your time tonight. We'll open this up to public comment.
Yes. If you haven't, filled out a card, you can come up, provide comment, make sure you state your name for the record, and make sure you get us one of those purple cards, after you speak.
Okay.
You can go. And if you're online and you want to provide comment on this item, please raise your hand and we will get to you. Okay.
My name is Joanne Smith. I live at 1755 Fairfield. I bought my house in approximately 1991. That whole area, you were talking, Mr. Walker, to the historical import of that area, that all belonged to Farmer Plum. It was spelled Plumbe at that time, and it was a pig farm. And the place where you want to build that has that historical fireplace, that was one of the places where he used for the burning. I tried to get a survey, and my property hasn't been surveyed since 1875, and they walked it off. I don't even have landmarks. So that area of Fairfield does have historical import. Okay, now moving along, as a developer, you understand finances. Okay, well, so do I. And it is conventional real estate wisdom that when you buy a home on a cul-de-sac, there's a built-in premium for that cul-de-sac living, which gives you lower density, security, and quiet. Lower traffic, of course. So that means that I paid more for my house than I could sell it for, because it is no longer a traditional cul-de-sac. So the premium runs between 20 and 30%, depending, of course, on your location and how desirable it is. So to cut the difference, I'm automatically taking a 25% cut in what I could sell my home for. You probably wouldn't be interested in taking a 25% cut on what you would sell one of your homes for. Okay, now, whether or not you build 3 houses or 4 houses is irrelevant to me. What I'm interested in is no access road from Fairfield. The driveway that you were talking about is not as wide as the driveways that are on Plum. You said that you felt the city doesn't want more driveways on the street of Plum. That sounds like speculation. There is enough width on Plum to build 2 driveways. But you think that that would be a not very attractive selling point to your people having to come in and out of Plum, because you say that the traffic on Plum has gotten so busy. Well, West Plum isn't as busy as East Plum, and RED made it work on East Plum. The second thing you could do is there's a 15-mile-per-hour sign on the corner of Marsh and Plum. If the city was to move that sign, I'm not exactly sure what it is, 150 or 200 yards, that would slow traffic to 15 miles an hour to give people that extra moment to get in and out of that driveway.
Man, your time is up. That was 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else? And ma'am, if you could fill out one of those purple cards for me.
Can you put them on back up, please?
That one?
Yes.
Just say briefly for the record.
Lauren Healing Stock, our address 1795 Fairfield. And I do believe I know where the 0.2 or 0.02 has been lost to, because that easement, there has just been some manipulation. There's no way, if you look at that corner, that this was the intention of this street. This is supposed to be a private street. But now to see that somehow vehicles are supposed to fit through there safely and not bother any of the residents, I can't imagine how that's gonna work. And I know this has already been set. I keep hearing that this is going to be the access, but we were told it was an emergency access only, the whole idea of this easement. So I am unsure why the entrance also is not following. This is just disturbing to disturb this amazing neighborhood. And again, both of these houses, it seems funny, but we own part of the street. That's just part of our lot. We do. So this becomes a private street, but yet somehow this is being allowed. And I am, you know, you're talking about the pig farm. I'm thinking about Mrs. White, or that lived here on the pig farm, that shot us with BB guns when we were growing up. She was, and if you could have seen that house, and there was a pond, and it was an absolute, it was dilapidated. It was our property that she was shooting us on. That's what was so funny, because my dad, the fence line was not the property line. But on the other side, that was our property, and we used to laugh all the raspberries and everything that my dad planted. But guess what? We honored her. And I just feel like we should be honored as residents who have, owned these properties forever and who love Reno as Reno should be. So I'm grateful. I'm sorry, I am grateful that it's not an apartment complex. I hope, again, that will not be manipulated anyway. And it changes 3 to 4. I think it's great. It's a fabulous neighborhood, but I'm still questioning the access. I know that's all happened, just like the easements has happened. All this stuff kind of is slipped in when the original attorneys bought it, and it sold and back and forth. And Cobb told me he was, building the 3 houses for his 2 for his daughters, and then this has been a shift. But I am disappointed. I really am. As much as I am grateful that it's houses and not an apartment complex, this is our property. And it doesn't make sense. So I'm sorry, as Anne, no, as Anne of Green Gables would say, it's nonsensical. It's you know my mom.
Yes. So my name's Michelle Kinsley. I'll fill out one of those forms. I also live in Holman here at 1755 Fairfield. It was built in 1953. We're the second owners of the home, my partner Joanne and I. But one of the things that was brought to my attention, unfortunately, they couldn't come in. The 2 houses here, they both have basements. This cul-de-sac, where it is, the snow is always piled up right in here, which is right in front of the sewage drain to go into the waterworks. That has not been updated. That still attaches to our sewer lines, all in these houses here. So when this thing gets filled up and blown up, these 2 basements get flooded with sewage and water. So they've had, of course, pumps put in and try to deal with it the best they can. So I hope that you, as you're planning, the city's planning, understand that this area is very fragile. Our road's very fragile. It's very small. You guys come by and paint it one every 10 years. But this area right in here, just as we're saying, we're losing so much money from the fact that we had this beautiful cul-de-sac. You talk about congruent with the neighborhood. The brick from our house came from the first brewery in Carson City. It's beautiful brick homes with repurposed brick. And then here we got this. Sorry, dude, but it's just the same regular stuff that you see everywhere that you can get for a dime for a dozen. But you're going to take the money from us so you have a nice little cul-de-sac. Well, this thing runs like this. You don't have to go out here. That can be the gate where the fire truck would come in. You've got plenty of room for an in and out here to do that. But to take away from our community is disgusting. It is. It's horrendous. That's all I got to say.
I'm Misha Pascal. I live at the top of Fairfield Drive. And just this last, 4 years, there was a fixer upper. I put a lot of money, my neighbors can attest to it, I put a lot of money fixing it, hadn't been touched since 1959. So, and the reason why we bought that lot is because it's location at the end of a cul-de-sac. We're in a position that it might disappear. And I'm a little concerned because of what was presented. They mentioned that it's, 0.27 lot, similar to the homes in the area, but they're not talking about the driveway that's going to reduce that size of the usable lot. So I think that was a little deceptive. So I think the density of reducing it to 4 lots is going to be a little bit deceptive. I don't think it's going to be a true representation of the neighborhood, along with the homes that they presented as well. So I do support everything that they've said is, the feeling is very mutual, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. Well, guys, you want to go? Go.
This
Can you state your name for the record, sir?
Guy Archer,
Thank you.
this area here, so the plan is to bring round this out and of course bring it in and then he's gonna do like flag lots, 4 flag lots in here with a 20 to 25 foot road, concrete road coming down in here, so, and then the setback, how far is the setback from Plum?
That first lot would be about 18 feet.
So it's gonna be 18 feet back, whatever that is, and then you just could dump it in there. Well, you have to bring it all the way through for the fire access. And do we have a picture of what one of those gates looks like with a chain or whatever they have across?
Not at this time.
Yeah, so anyway, that'll be down here somewhere. And then there'll be a setback of 18 feet, so the house will be in here, I guess, and then they'll have to drive all the way out here. I don't like it coming out on my area up there. I like it coming down here. If you're gonna do 3 or 4, you know, should come out here. And I'm upset about the fact that this whoever did it put this easement in here without my knowing about it. I don't like that, you know, they let built an easement in there. Somebody from the city apparently did that. I'm unhappy about that. Yeah. You put the plan in today to change this to 4 so that you'd know, but if you get the zoning change to FS 5, can you go back and change it to 5?
I suppose technically somebody could, yes,
Yeah,
but as I said, my plans, that doesn't work.
Huh?
With my plans, it does not fit, that does not work.
But you could change it back to 5.
Technically, somebody could, yes.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Louis Provenche. I'm at 1810 Fairfield, so the cars that come out would come up right in our driveway. And my concern is that all the comments have been posted, what everyone said, I agree with it, I'm not gonna repeat that. If every one of those 4 houses has 2 cars, and most of the neighborhood, everyone has 3 cars per house. That is 8 to 12 cars coming out. This last month, when I was backing up on 1810 here, from here, I nearly ran into the neighbor that's on the other side with their minivan. And there's only a few of us in that corner there. It's extremely tight. That's where the garbage truck turns. That's where the contractors park there. That's where everyone parks there. And if families visiting, that's where they park. They actually park right here. All that's gonna be gone. We will not have the ability to park. The contractors will not have the ability to come. And suddenly there's gonna be anywhere between 8 to 12 cars coming out. And I'm already backing up on my neighbors with the few cars we have. So I would like cars come out this way like they did when the farmhouse, before they demolished the stone house. I was there when that happened. There's space there to have cars come out. There's not right there. And if someone one day wants to do 5 buildings there because it doesn't pan out and it's sold for profit, then that would be what, 50 to 20 cars on this little thing? It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So it makes no sense to screw up the cul-de-sac with 12 to 8 cars at 8:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock going to work coming in and out. And with children who once have cars, and if you have adolescents driving cars, you don't know they're not going 5 miles per hour.
So this is a big concern of us. And like I said, everything else everyone said posted online, I approve, I agree with them. So I oppose this string over cul-de-sac. Thank you.
Katie Luce, I live on 1820 Airfield. That was my basketball hoop you saw in the picture. And it's important to note that because it gets a lot of use. It's a very active cul-de-sac. We have, I can count in the room, there's 6 parents a year, and there's like 10 kids that are represented by the parents and parents. There's no real park area or open play area except for the cul-de-sac. We have race cars, we've got basketballs, we've got wiffle ball tournaments. Thank you to all the neighbors that throw all the balls back for us on repeat. But this is a very much a community of neighbors. And what I wanted to advocate for was the integrity of the neighborhood, because I heard the gentleman online talking about how if this neighborhood was built, this would be an SF5. But it wasn't built now. It was built 60, 70 years ago. And so the integrity of the neighborhood is really important to sustain because, as Joanne mentioned, we purchased in the Old Southwest intentionally. These homes are very unique. If you drive down, they don't look the same. They're not cookie cutter homes. And that's why the value of our home is really important, but it's also to a really beautiful neighborhood to raise the kids. And we really wouldn't want to compromise that. So what we're advocating for, which I think everybody said, is utilizing the driveway that's already established there instead of trying to build in. The one thing too, I would note, this property is much higher than this property over here. So there is some property line compromise here, but this is probably 5 or 6 feet higher than the property on 1830. Yes. And so there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, especially if you're building an actual full driveway versus maybe just a fire. I don't know, I'm not an architect or planning person, but I would just advocate that we sustain the integrity of the cul-de-sac for the neighborhood and for the community. Thank you.
Hello, Adam Pruitt. I'm also at 1820. And agree with kind of what everybody said so far. A couple technical details I wanted to cover and around what things have already been mentioned, but I think that the committee, if you could pay attention to the access point here and the width, and it's where these lines cross between this parcel and this parcel is probably up for debate. There's a fence, but there's also a stone wall. I think it needs to be surveyed correctly or shared survey results. And where the cul-de-sac actually meets right here to this point on this lot's property line, from my measurements, only around 25, 26 feet. So I think that access point, like everybody's mentioned, is pretty tight for 4 houses. And I think I probably should have mentioned in the beginning, but I had a chance to talk to Walker twice, at least on the phone. We probably spent an hour and very, very easy to deal with, very easy to talk to. He seems trustworthy and the way he talks, I believe that he plans to do 4 houses. The only issue is we've seen this turnover, I think 3 times in the last 6 years. So I trust you, but I don't necessarily trust the next person. In addition, I don't know how to read parcel maps that well, but the latest 2019 parcel map has a note that the access and easement on the Fairfield side, and it's related to document 4687755 recorded on March 16, 2017. That document states that it's an easement only for emergency vehicles and service vehicles. It's a maintenance document. So I don't know if that still stands or not, but I think it needs to be looked into. And the question I think that I'd pose to the committee is, if access was granted from Fairfield, why did that happen? We just can't find the records to state that. And can access be granted from Plum as the primary access for the houses? And that's I think one of the major themes here is the access points. And I've spoken to almost everybody that's here. There's a couple that I haven't too, but of all the neighbors that I've spoken to, I think we'd all be happy to let Mr. Smith continue with the rezoning if there was a vehicle that kept his plan in place at 4 lots and didn't allow it to go to 5 and ensured, or it maybe even go 5, maybe that doesn't matter, but more importantly, ensured that primary access was from Plum. So I think our main concern in all of this is the access from Fairfield. It's not necessarily the rezoning. So if we could come to an agreement there. We're all regional people. I think we can, have discussion and debate about it. So that's kind of to summarize, if you haven't kind of gathered what everybody's concerned about, that's kind of what we would like to discuss and come to a compromise on stuff. And Mr. Smith, see, open discussion about it. So, and thank you for your conversations that we've had so far.
So I'm violating my zoning code by talking to my wife said I wasn't allowed to. We live here.
Can you state your name for the record, sir?
Oh, yeah, Charles Price.
Thank you.
We live here at 1775. And as Matt, we put over 30 years. And when we have snow, it's kind of a problem. And so lately, just because I want to feel useful now I'm retired, I kind of plow the sidewalks for the neighborhood. Didn't this year, didn't have enough snow. But coming down here, I found out that right down here, somewhere in this area, there's the grate where the sewer, and evidently we're one of the two neighborhoods in the city. I may be wrong on that. Then both our wastewater and the surface water went down the same sewer. So as was mentioned before, these things, then you get the sewage back up in there. And there's a gate trap down here. Do we have a picture of the actual view of this area down here on one of the other slides?
Is it a cul-de-sac photo?
Yeah, no, we'll pass it, okay. So this area from here, like the grates right here. And you have this area here, which I haven't mentioned this fence here. It may not be the actual property line. So I'm not sure how much area here. I think someone said 25 feet. You're talking about 12 cars. You're talking about 25 feet. How they have a stoplight that you can only go certain, enter okay, go back to the other view. That they can only enter this road one way, they have to pull out, so people pull out when somebody else is coming out. I mean, there's really 25 feet is not enough for two cars to pass safely on that drive, and especially when you have old people like me that may not be driving so well. I'm not as well as young kids, but and as mentioned earlier, the property value of these houses will go way down. But mentioned earlier, so yeah, I just don't see it. I think I see it coming out here with tasteful houses, which are probably coming up. But please don't ruin our our area, our community by coming out in Fairfield.
Hello, I am Rob Stone, 1830. Selfishly, we're probably impacted the most sharing the driveway fence line here, but still I'm pretty open. We're gonna have 3 new houses there minimum anyway, so of course I don't want to be selfish about my own little nice world that sits there. I do like the kids playing in the cul-de-sac. I do all the things that would benefit me personally. That's wouldn't drive my decision. I'm trying to think big picture, what's best for our community and you guys and growth, all of it. But my concern, I just want to validate the 2 things that people said. One, the fear of once you guys aren't involved, if and when what people could come in and do, like that's unsettling. And then the other one is this entranceway here. We're hearing so many reasons why this is a problem for our neighborhood and us, the people who live there, versus why you can't just do it here. I would like to hear the reasons why it seems like such an obvious no-brainer to make the access here. And so the main thing I will add, because everyone's already taken up all the big arguments, is guest parking. So these 4 houses, they're gonna need guest parking. That on that street, right? Was there 2?
Yeah.
That guaranteed 2 cars per house. I don't know where they're gonna park, so us being right here, I don't love that there's gonna be 10+ cars now pulling out. And can we go back to the cul-de-sac, so we're right here, and so we back in and out as most people do there, and so we're gonna be backing out with, 10 cars coming right along this road. Right here, it just seems sort of hazardous that way, and where do our guests park, where does vehicles that come work on the houses park? Like, this cul-de-sac gets a lot of use, not just for kids playing, but for all of us, for a common area, for parking and service vehicles, and as I forgot, I mentioned maybe that, the garbage truck spinner around there, we put that, this is basically, it's not a thoroughfare, thank God. And we hope that never happens, but even with just the driveway, it's gonna create some serious problems of our day-to-day lives. They're not in a selfish way, we like our privacy and all that. It's literally creating some very serious, logistical problems. So I'd like to hear, can we go back to the, I'd like to hear what, with all of this stuff stacking up for putting the entrance here. I want to hear anything, any reason why.
I'll be happy to give a response to that. So we are more than happy to talk with the city of Reno about what the best access pattern is. We can even push them for some kind of access onto Plum. I haven't discussed that with city engineering department. My concern is that I know they don't love driveways onto arterial streets, and there are existing driveways that are somewhat close already. So engineering will view that as a potential problem. In a perfect world, we'd have access from both directions. So we're certainly willing to go to bat for the city with that, but we don't have an agreement worked out with them yet. On one sort of side point, one of the public comments said that if they're fine with the project, they just don't want to see a driveway onto Plum. So a little bit, we're going to be stuck in a situation where maybe not everybody's happy, but we're going to do the best we can with the city.
For the record, Trevor Woolman, thanks so much for hearing us, board members and council member. So I live at 1795 Fairfield Avenue. I'm renting from my mother-in-law who owns the home, and my children are, I believe it's 4th generation living in this home. We completely oppose the rezoning. My neighbors and friends have said so many reasons why. So I'm not gonna really add much more. I'm just gonna tell you that we oppose going from SF3 to SF5. There's children throughout the streets playing every night, every weekend, and we just think that 3 lots is gonna be plenty to keep there. Thank you so much.
Anyone else in person? Gonna check online. If you're online and would like to make public comment on this item, please raise your hand. Not seeing any hands raised online.
Okay. Yeah, did you go back to this? Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be here at the beginning of this discussion, but I think I've gathered the flavor. I'm Naomi Dewar. I'm the Reno City Council member for Ward 2. I'm so sorry I wasn't here at the beginning, but I just have a few questions that will help me. And I'm glad you're on the phone, Derek. My first question is, I guess, the 3 parcels that are 1725, 1775, and 1795, they stick out into the street. And does that mean, Derek, that, and anyone that's in those houses, that they own that land halfway into the street?
Yes.
Okay, And I heard someone say that it was a private street. What did that mean?
That basically means because we own that area is our private land.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's our land.
But
That's,
there is a definition for a private street, and it basically means that typically, and I have one near me, that everybody owns to the middle of the street, and that the street is taken care of by the residents that live on the street. Is that true, or does the city take care of the street?
So I can give some general background on that if it's helpful. So my guess here, and this is somewhat common in Northern Nevada, is that some of those house lots predate City of Reno street standards. So in other words, they were built probably with a dirt road at some point, and then the city came back and said that doesn't work for us. Our streets are standard widths, and they include curbs and sidewalks and such. So they came in and they installed their standard street, but to do it, they had to apply a public access easement over the front of those parcels. So functionally, it's a full width street and a full width cul-de-sac, but technically the owner does own that
It's
paved
not a
area.
private street, but across those three parcels, there's an easement for the city.
Yeah, these are city streets. Yeah.
Construct and maintain the streets. Okay.
Oh, which I filled potholes myself many times.
Good job. Okay, very impressive. I had a house on a private street and we did the same, but it was a private street. Nobody from any city, county was taking care of it at all. So my next question is, if the plan is, are you saying, Derek, that they need a fire access as well? Do they need to in and out?
Yes, the fire department's going to want that. Yeah, I think technically we meet the driveway length for a dead end driveway, but in practice that's not a great fit, and the emergency gate would be good.
On either end.
Yeah, they're going to want access at either end. Yes, for fire.
Okay. So if what I don't understand is if you have to build a road essentially along the blue, and you have to be able to traverse it both ways, why can the primary access not be off Plum? I mean, has someone said that this is a problem? Have you heard it in the grapevine? Have they told you directly?
I'm basing that somewhat on my experience.
Okay.
The city doesn't love that. Like I said, we'll go to bat for that. We can push for that.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm observing all of these houses on Plum, and every one of them has a driveway, I believe, onto Plum. Like all the 1395, 1395 and on, all the way down to 1880 and 0 there. They all are on Plum.
Again, those predate the city's current engineering standards.
Right, but you know, the city, we have to be a little bit flexible. I mean, we're having infill, which we support. Okay, just so our developers know, we support infill. But the challenge with infill is you've got to work with everyone around you.
Yep.
And you've got to do some kind of accommodation where things work for everyone. And that's what I've tried for 12 years. I've been on council, almost full 12 years, is whenever these kind of infill projects come in, I'm always working with the developer to see, well, how can we have the least impact on existing residents and allow, you know, increased housing, very important to us. So if it's already a full length drive along the blue, and it's just a question of which way you exit, because I have to believe that the people in these 3 lots today would want to come out to Plum. They don't want to drive through the whole neighborhood, go out onto the next street and the next street. I mean, I don't know anybody that would really want to do that, just as a practical, you know, and you already are building the street. So I guess that's my question, is I didn't know if there was a law. It's just based on your experience, but here's the thing for everybody to know. They're asking for a zone change. And one of the things we can't do at city council is condition a zone change. It's either up or down. There's no conditions. It's not, we'll give it to you if only, or if you just change this one thing, it'll be fine. That's where other plans come in, either a tentative map. It could have been a SPD, which is a specific plan development for a parcel where you actually designate what's going to happen on that parcel. And I've seen this many times, even a parcel of 1 acre, because usually when you have infill, the residents want to know what's happening, what's going in, how are the roads going to work, how's it going to affect me, right? And by an SPD, you can actually nail those details down. You can have as many conditions as you want. You can show all the residents, this is what we intend to build, this is where the street will be. You show all your plans. And then people can get to a comfort level. And I saw this many times over near Virginia Lake, where there's infill going on. And the residents got together. They didn't particularly want what was happening, but they were able to sit down. I think Donna, you live over in that area. It was many times and they came in and revised the plans over years.
It's like 15 years.
What,
It's
15?
like 15.
15 years they came in. It's just one many example. Recently, we had a SPD, specific plan development, come in on Plumas and Mount Rose Street. Right? 1 acre. They wanted to build 39 apartments. It was zoned for less than 24. They wanted to upzone. But instead of coming in for zoning like what is being proposed here, they came in with SPD. The problem with it is they didn't show their cards. They showed very little detail, and as a result, city council ended up voting it down. Because they wanted to go too high, they wanted to violate there was a, what do you call the overlay? There had to be a certain roof pitch, they wanted to change that. There had to be certain apartments, they wanted to change that. They wanted to change it, which is what we call spot zone. Okay, when everything is one thing, and then you want to come in and do a different thing. So one thing I guess I would recommend to you, as their consultant, Derek, is to do what you said. The only thing I don't know is how to codify that, since we can't condition a zone change. Can't do it. So either there has to be a side agreement, there has to be discussion with the staff, there has to be an SPD. There has to be a something so that all these neighbors understand what's going on. Because I heard several of them say, I don't care if you build 5 houses, just don't intersect with the cul-de-sac, right? And I think that's kind of inspiring, frankly. And they said the same thing to the one we turned down. They said, if you will just do this, we're not gonna object. And so many times in this kind of setting or at the city council, I've seen these things, and it's often they can go the hard way or they can go an easier way. And I think it's in your interest, Derek, working with your clients to see if there's a compromise that you can reach where the residents at least could have peace and you could have your development, whether it's 3, 4, or 5 homes. I wasn't here for that part, but is the reason you wanted SF5 was to build 4? Is that the idea? I mean, you know, it sounds reasonable. It's just the side impacts that are challenging. Is that something that you guys can work on, either Derek or is it Walker?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is that
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. That's great input. I appreciate it. I wish Walker's lawyer was here. Maybe Walker doesn't even have a lawyer. He seems to stand up for himself. But you know, we could look at writing a deed restriction across the property. I mean, maybe that's a simple mechanism to do it. So yeah, we'll take a look at that.
You know, maybe that's a simple answer. And I guess just tell the staff, one way or another, the road's got to be the same width to go north or south. And so we're just talking about where they enter on Plum. Most people would like to enter on Plum versus go all the way through, you know, 3 different streets to get to their house. I know it. I mean, it's just human nature. And so anyway, there probably is a path forward, and you could probably get 90% of these folks to stand down and be content. That's my sense of hearing what people said. So I don't get a vote in this. Okay, just to be clear. Well, I'm wrong. And actually all zone change do have to come to city council, so I will have a vote. But like many of the residents said, I don't see a big deal between 3, 4, 5 homes. I do see a big deal when you interact with them when you don't have to. So I just wanted to give you a little explanation and why, because the city staff and I, normally they would explain all these things, right? But these days we're kind of on our own. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any more public comment?
I have one comment I just want to make for fun. 1740 Fernfield was our family home when I was very, very young, and it was a brand new house. So it's a pretty new house.
Oh.
30 years old.
A long time ago, but I have very fond memories of that street.
Okay. Nobody on Zoom, so we're moving now to our final agenda item, development B4 LDC 25-00017 River Inn Outdoor Storage. I believe it's a presentation.
Who is here with you for River?
Yes, so my name is Morgan Biaselli. I'm here with Hava Ahmad sitting behind you, Councilwoman. We're here with.
They can't hear very well.
Yes.
Everybody's.
I'm sorry, folks, it's hard to hear.
You can go out in the, not even in the hall with you there, but you can step outside and chat or stay inside, but.
Although I
anyway,
do definitely encourage.
In case, we definitely encourage you to stay.
Just not here.
Thank you. Okay, so Morgan, if you could just speak into this though.
Yes, so my name is Morgan Biaselli. I'm here with Ahmed Law and Hava Ahmad here, the attorney for the property. We also have.
Oh, behind.
We also have the property owners here in the back as well. I'm here on behalf of the River Inn. We're here with our outdoor storage conditional use permit. I would like to start by saying, I know I've heard Councilwoman Dewar say that in previous meetings, she's came here to Reno and fell in love through a visit. Myself and the owners of the River Inn are in similar circumstances. We came to visit Reno and then we decided to make it our home. I always tell everyone, Reno's my favorite. You get 4 seasons in a river. It's gorgeous. We go to, let's do the, oh, and so I come before this group, like I said, to go over an outdoor storage application for the folks at the River Inn to build what ends up looking like a lovely landscaped, 15 by 6 size lot. We can go to the next.
What did you say, a 15?
By 6 foot size lot. This property.
I'm gonna ask you this question, Morgan. How big is the whole property?
The whole property? Yes, I actually have it on one of the slides.
Okay.
Yes. This property is located at 9400 West 4th Street. We're waiting for a date on the planning commission. The engineering team that worked on this is the McKinley Structural Engineers. This lot is currently zoned for mixed-use suburban with the master plan designation for suburban mixed use. We can go to the next slide. Looking at the overview of this project, we're requesting a CUP to store various personal vehicles of the owners of the property. This property is not open to the public. The site currently has basic security with gated access and surveillance. And then on here, you'll see the parcel that we're talking about is an 8.15 acre parcel. And we go to the next slide. In this rendering, you'll see the complexity of this site. The lot is located off of 4th Street, below the I-80, neighboring Union Pacific land and the railroad. And then on the other side of this property, we have our beautiful Truckee River. Go to the next slide for me. So in this next slide, we can see a closer snapshot of the proposed storage. I'm gonna point out right here. So this is the proposed storage, outdoor storage that they're planning to build.
And how big is that?
That is what I was saying is the 15 by 6 feet.
But just 15 feet?
Across, yes.
Like this room is like 27, so. It's, so in acres, do you have that?
I don't have it in acres.
Okay, and 6 feet is only listed.
So 6 feet high, sorry, my
Yeah,
bad.
as the fencing for the wall, the actual area for the parked vehicles for this conditional use permit is gonna be about, it's, I think, what did we calculate out to?
Oh, it'll take up about 6.5 acres of the 8.15 acres.
Okay.
Sorry, let's get into that. I was waiting for questions at the end.
Well, this was confusing though, so the site is 8.5 acres, is that what you said?
Yes, Eight
And the,
point one five.
what is it?
8.15
Okay,
acres.
so we'll call 8, and this parking area is 6.5, so about
Correct.
75 or 80% of the land area of the site
Yes.
would be a parking lot.
No. So let's wait for questions so we can discuss kind of what the actual conditions.
Just trying to marry up the picture she's showing, and it just wasn't grasping it.
Okay, yeah, let's go to the next slide. The outdoor storage, is limited to the portion of the parcel that you saw in the previous slide. There will be minimal to no impact on public safety. The site will be self-managed with access limited to property owners. The outdoor storage use is low intensity, with the square footage of the storage being limited to the 6.5 acres of the 8.15 acres of the parcel. Go to the next slide. And then you'll see again, the storage area there in this next slide. The proposed land, you'll see it with the proposed landscape around it and the replanting of the existing trees. You also see the required 50-foot setback from the river. Go to the next slide. And this is a little rendering of what the walls and what the outdoor storage will look like. And so the current plan indicates that the vehicles will not be above 15 feet. With the expected height of the screening being 6 feet as the drop off point from the roadway behind the Union Pacific Railroad property. In terms of visibility from the neighboring houses and the highway, Fort Street is approximately 40 feet higher in elevation than the project site. Given the height difference, a fence tall enough to completely block views from the street would need to be extremely tall, around 40 feet, which is not practical. Instead, we propose the 6-foot fence, which with the existing surrounding trees and proposed planting around the fence will provide sufficient screening of the lot. You can go ahead to the next one. So staff requested the wall be at the 10 feet. As you saw, and as stated in the previous slide, that will impact the current views. The current height is expected to be 6 feet high. The city is requesting a revised plan for a 10-foot, which would mean that we would need an additional permit. If that is the case, as we build over the next years, we will have to make conforming changes that will impact the views of the neighbors across the river. And then the next slide. For engineering, addressing the agency concerns for engineering, grading will not be impacted at this time. We are working on a plan to approach Reno Public Works as there are current issues with the city, county, and Tamawa. Prior non-compliance with Truckee Meadows Regional Drainage Manual in the infiltration trenches. There is a contingency plan for any hazardous spills. All repair, washing, commercial activity is prohibited. Hazardous spill plan must be reviewed with Union Pacific in the city of Reno. For Reno Fire, they recently made comments regarding the fire suppression. We will be waiting for background on the Appendix D that was quoted and how to interact with the proximity to the Truckee River and water accessibility on the property. And next slide. We are exploring a visual impact study. We'd like to address all of the Reno Fire Department engineering staff concerns with proper entities in Union Pacific. Make sure that all properties are held to the same standard. Finish negotiations with the city over what permits are necessary for cleanup and fire abatement of the property. There is no date to go before Planning Commission currently. We are reaching out to talk to them to see what issues need to be addressed before then. We're gonna reconfigure, redevelop the plan. The goal is to stabilize the property. Feasibility studies on the river access with future trails, park connectivity and gateways along all river currents, properties along the Truckee River. Okay, hit me.
Oh, I will wait. I just want to get one clarification was, did they want to put concrete on 80% of the property? It looks like it's 8 acres and they want to cover 6.5 with concrete, or is the whole application about the wall? And
It's just the wall.
the wall, and were they gonna leave the parking area as
Starts up 0.6 acres.
not 6.5?
I heard 6.5.
Well, it's in the presentation.
It's 6.5, yeah.
It's not 6 acres. Yeah, so, okay, what we had done here,
Could you
just
please
just so I can clarify this, again.
Identify yourself.
Yeah, my name's Hava
Thank
Amokata, I'm the attorney for this matter. So if you could go back to go a couple slides down. Yeah. One more right here.
Go back.
Okay, so we called it, for the sake of this presentation today, 6.15 acres based upon the actual full square mileage of the square acreage of the actual parcel itself. So our clients own multiple parcels on that riverfront area, but they're not condensed into one parcel. We are not trying to do that at this time. However, with that said, pursuant to the guidelines that the city has come back with, and the conditional use permit itself is a mechanism the city wanted my clients to specifically utilize to be able to store their personal and business vehicles on the property. As they clean and as they really work up that property to avoid future code enforcement complaints. Going through this, and we do have a meeting set with planning, engineering, and fire in the coming weeks to address kind of the newest comments that came down around Christmas. But with this property, we are calling it a bigger square acreage based upon the fact that we are planning on going lower. So for the purposes of today, you're looking at this one parcel, we're looking at about 2/3 of the parcel for parking. However, when you take in the masonry wall that's required, when you're taking in all of the setbacks that are required, when you're taking in all of the landscaping that's required, then that area gets smaller. So the actual parking itself isn't expected to be 6 acres. We're not putting hundreds of vehicles on this property. However, with that said, one of the biggest issues that we do need to address with the planning division and engineering is what portion of the city code they're going to be pointing us to limit how many vehicles we can park there. This isn't like some commercial parking lot to park downtown or to go to Earth Day in April, right? This isn't anything like that. This is purely for my client's own personal use to be able to move forward with the actual stabilization of this property.
Maybe you're looking through the word disturbed area, like this is the project area.
Yes.
And you're saying the project itself. My question was, is it going to be a gravel parking lot, a dirt parking lot, a concrete parking lot, an asphalt parking lot? What kind of parking lot?
Ideally, the intent is to not disrupt any of the grading. It is to leave it as a dirt.
I know, but my different question.
Yes.
What is going to cover the parking lot?
The dirt that is existing.
Just dirt.
Yes.
It's just gonna be a dirt. parking
Yes.
lot. You're not putting in concrete.
Not on the floor, no, not on
Okay,
the.
that's what I'm asking. Okay, and then why are you here? Is it for the wall?
Yes, so we have to do a conditional use permit. The conditional use permit specifically is for the wall and for the use of being able to store vehicles.
And is the wall on the river side or is it on the road, 4th Street side?
Pursuant to the city's requirements, it's on both. It literally encases the actual area the parking will be in.
Okay, so this is very helpful.
Yeah. So, and that is also partially why we are in the middle of discussions with the city of Reno regarding this property. It's ideally, we want to make sure, because there is an exemption within that, the wall section of Reno Municipal Code. But we want to make sure that we address what portion of the wall is truly applicable as to what is actually seen from the residential community. There is no residential community, in case you guys were wondering, on the Union Pacific line or on the on the actual roadway. So we're in negotiations to really look at the most minimal, least restrictive means that are going to get this CUP accomplished. However, we have to come here before you guys, within a specific span of time to ensure that that our process still goes. So one of the big concerns that my clients have and that I like, and that we've really been discussing with the city of Reno as of late, is the requirement that any type of kind of development on this land is gonna require those type of screens and walls. Because my clients do own the property on the other side of the river where that neighborhood is. So should that be the case, we really do have to talk about, okay, what type of grandfathering exists? Well, how do we really promote usage of our property, of the River Currents LLC's property, while acknowledging that this isn't designated open space, this is private property, and they do want to be able to move forward with it.
Then you said something also that was confusing, or Morgan did. You mentioned the 6-foot wall, but then you also mentioned a 10-foot wall. So are these two walls different heights
So
from each other?
this is where, so this wall in this photo right here is 6 feet high. The city and per city code, it's up to 10 feet. The last set of comments we got from engineering is that they would like a 10-foot wall. However, with that's also part of the exemption, where we would ideally want a 6-foot wall based upon the distance between the Pacific Railroad property and where it separates.
So that's what triggers a need for a wall is the railroad property?
No, so what triggers the need for the wall is the conditional use permit itself and the
Well, but there's
industrial.
usually like criteria.
That's the industrial certification
But
of the CUP.
So what would be helpful is to better understand what the city code is regarding this wall. Obviously, you figured out you need a wall. Somebody at the city told you this.
Yeah, so it's under Reno Muni Code 18.04. That section specifically, that's partially why. So we've had 3 attorneys on this at this point in time, including an engineering firm. So originally it was the screen was all that was necessary. As of December, it was the masonry wall. The issue is, so within the section of the Reno Municipal Code where it is required to have that masonry wall is specifically for conditional use permits for storage of vehicles.
So, yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna jump in if I
Please.
please. I really think about the commercial equipment yard a mile down 4th Street, right off Stack Lane, and I'm sure you're probably aware of it as well.
Yes.
They moved in their equipment, they built their fences, they installed a well before they even got their permits. So they were literally feet away from residential property. So one of the things that I'm confused about and bring it up in the presentation is consistent application of the laws that we have to follow. I do want to let you know that I live in that neighborhood on the other side. And frankly, I'd rather have you put a screened fence like what they did on that equipment yard down there than a big concrete wall.
Yes.
That's my 2 cents on it. I'm gonna put it my 4. The question that I have is right now there's a bunch of equipment, various RVs, tractors, equipment that you need when you're fixing 30 acres, whatever it is out there. That's parked in front of the old hotel in the main building right now. Is the general idea to move that equipment and all of those vehicles into this equipment yard? Is that the general idea here?
Yes, for the sake of making sure that my clients are not having to deal with code enforcement all of the time.
Yeah.
So pending the cleanup and then the future idea is for my clients to be able to utilize that specific area. It's, as I'm sure, because you do live in that neighborhood, you know that exactly how difficult it's been over the years for property owners, even prior to River Currents LLC, from owning that property, from doing anything on that property. And that's one of the reasons why it's my office. We're really adamant to look at that other property that has the screens, because we're like, hey, why is everything being treated differently, right?
Yeah, that's certainly, and we're not gonna solve that question today.
No.
But it's certainly something that I would press into. But I appreciate the other thing that came up when we were talking about this equipment yard that ultimately did get approved. There was a lot of concern about this as an equipment yard. They were using commercial vehicles. And I saw there's some material in there about drainage into the Truckee River and dripping from the vehicles, hydraulic fluid and that kind of stuff. And to make sure, because they were a conditional use permit as well, so they were able to put conditions. They had to have some sort of plan about spill cleanup and that kind of stuff to ensure that the concentration of the vehicles didn't impact the river in a negative way.
And so because of where this property sits next to the river, the property owners, they actually have engineers that come in and check their vehicles, that go through all the in-depth training to make sure that their vehicles are good to be on that land.
Glad to hear it. That's good.
But I will say this, generally what you have to do is design it so no human intervention is needed to prevent drainage into the river. Like you have to set up a system that drains away from the river, not towards it. And it can't rely on the guy had a bad day or she had a headache and forgot to do the whatever. It has to be designed and built so that this doesn't happen.
Well, and you'll see too, the engineers, I think it's the engineering department's comments in December, it's our engineering firm for this. Did try to address the actual water drainage as well as the hazardous waste. However, there was a comment about specifically like flooding, allowing it to flood. Just, you know, for all transparency's sake, there's the Washoe County, City of Reno and Truckee Meadows Water Authority utilize the ditch that's above the roadway. We found recently with all of this new water that there were issues of things not being capped properly. So right now we have separate conversations going with those entities as well, specifically Truckee Meadows Water Authority, to figure out who was at fault to ensure that the property itself isn't flooded. So it's, as much as I would love to say that this is like a done deal, this is everything that we're gonna do, it's a work in progress, just based upon the fact that we have so many moving parts with this and so many different entities. When it comes to the hazardous fluids though too, I have to be really, really cognizant because we are so close to the Union Pacific property that one of the things, especially when we're looking back at their comments, the most recent set of comments and working with the City of Reno, is we really do have to discuss it with Union Pacific as well, to make sure that we all have a plan for those types of situations.
Like a disaster response?
Yes, a disaster response plan, because it's, we want to ensure, and especially I come out of at this as an attorney, right? So I want to ensure that my clients are not going to be held liable for hazardous waste spills that occur on Union Pacific property because they're downstream. So it's really eye-opening to the fact that this the conditional use permit process has really opened up this Pandora's box of now we have to herd a bunch of cats to get into one room together to really see who actually has the plan.
How about I could just share quickly? You can't see it with the drawings.
Can you come up, because we're recording and we're broadcasting.
Identify yourself.
And this is the property owner.
Lawrence McDuff. But just if you were to look at the diagram on the prior, Lawrence McDuff, you got that right? Prior diagram, just so you know what's here, because you can't see it. So here, this is the city sewer, which when in, I think, the eighties or late '89, they put in. The city came in, got the sewer line, paved everything. So we have a raised about 3-inch pavement. So it actually stops all water flow right there along that line. And that's one of the reasons we chose this area. And then our SWEP engineer put this catch in here. And it diverts, so it I won't go into the details. There's a lot of water that moves on that property. It never crosses that road, an asphalt road above the sewer line. It just diverts right
Is this
down.
asphalt road on your property?
Yes, it's actually the city of Reno, when they put the sewer line in.
They had to put access road.
No, they just paved over. I'm not sure what the deal was with Chang, but it's paved.
It's not reported.
They tore out the pavement that was there because it was the campground.
I don't know who Chang is.
It's prior owner.
Westlake Properties, firearms.
Okay. So anyway,
I'm sharing with you.
well,
That's a nice break.
when you have an engineer design your stormwater system, I'm sure they'll address it. So my question to you is, you said you don't have a date with the planning commission, but you're here. And when this has happened, where the NAB is so far in front of a planning commission and in front of your finalized design, the one thing that you may want to consider doing is coming back. Let's say it's 6 months from now, and you've redesigned this, and now it's a screened fence. And now it's got the stormwater system figured out, okay? that's what you want to be presenting to the NAB right before it goes to the planning commission. So the NAB can opine on that and send their comments. Right now, what you're basically telling us, Hava, is there's a lot up in the air. And there's a lot to be discussed between the city staff and your clients, and other agencies. And so in my mind, it might be a premature, but maybe all that's gonna get figured out in a month. I don't know. So what do you think?
Well, so with that, it's ideally, as I'm sure all of you guys know, every permit application has a specific lifetime to it.
Right.
So there's specific movements that have to occur. With this property, because we do have, it's a hotly contested property. It's a beautiful property that some people know it for the historical purposes of it, got to visit the actual hot springs in the 70s, etc. And now some people have a lot of opinions about it. So we wanted to also make sure that we came forward to within this timeline as we're going back and negotiating with the city of Reno to kind of see what the feel is. Because this NAB, we don't want to necessarily be like a Lake Ridge where we have the entire community against us. We want to be able to come back and, actually work together. And a lot of it is about coalition building itself. However, with this, based upon the timelines from when the conditional use permit was originally filed, when we were expected to go in front of the city, we did discuss a May 7th date today. However, at this point, we will be pushing it out based upon these comments and the fact that there are some that were made and the lack of conformity throughout the properties along that 4th Street corridor that we really do need to address, because we don't want one to, and I personally don't want my clients to take on all this liability, all of this expense, and then, Joe Schmo down the street doesn't have to, and we lead to more issues at the end of the day.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Donna Keats, record. I've downloaded all of this stuff. It's got a very big file online. And the most recent things that I saw were December.
Yes.
And it seems to me that there are a lot of comments and requests from the last batch of versions that there's no evidence that they've really been done yet or not, like version of the drainage report, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that they've asked you for that I don't see. And I don't really see this diagram and the concrete wall diagram and whatnot, but I'm not seeing
the answers to the
questions. Thank you, Naomi. And so this is so premature. I can't do anything except say it's not ready for review.
Yes, well, and we would agree with that. And that's, again, we're coming here for coalition building. We do understand and see the comments that were made in December. And of course, a lot of those things prior to anything being filed based upon the conversations and what those conformity issues with the issues of, references to documents that aren't actually fully referenced and cited. There's a lot of backroom conversations going on, and there have been since November, since I entered this area.
Request that, when you have the actual information about what you're really gonna do, what it actually means. I realize there's only a requirement for you to come here once. But it'd be really great to come here again when you actually have some of this knocked out, because all I see is so many questions and so little answers. Comments from engineering, comments from planning. And I don't really see responses. The responses that are there aren't really exactly gonna happen, because then there's another round and more comments. And so I can't review this in a meaningful way. And I would just have to say I can't review it and write on my little form that there's nothing to review. I can't recommend moving this forward. So I don't have an opinion. I can't form an opinion about what they're trying to do and accomplish with this, because information isn't there. I mean, and so I understand what you're doing, building coalitions, and but if they're okay with the use, then the code that you mentioned as a specific requirement for industrial next to residential has to have a wall of some sort, and then there's back and forth. So that's why you have to put the CUP, and that's the law. So that's what you're doing, but I can't tell what you're actually doing. You understand what I mean? There's too many versions of things, and the last one's in December. I have no answers to, requested things. Put this on your site plan, show me your drainage, and make sure you have the tracks. And I read about infiltration tracks. Can't imagine they want an infiltration tracks right next to the river to handle wastewaters and stuff.
Wastewater, stormwater.
It would be stormwater, if it's anything like the other one, sorry, Bill Shrimp, if it's anything like the other one, the concerns had to do with stormwater runoff from not like, oh my God, here's 1,000 gallon hydraulic fluid spill. It's okay, we can park the vehicles here for a year and they drip, drip, drip. And so it rains, and does that get captured and handled in an appropriate way for that kind of use?
So if you
And
don't
they-
want infiltrating, being the person
and they
who goes
figured-
and drills
they
these
figured it
sites
out.
will find the dirt.
They figured it out in a pretty simple way, a mile down the road.
Well, then, that's what I'd
So,
like
yeah.
to see, that's what you can do. The
So
most simple way, because there's too many.
I look at the
conversations.
conditions on that.
Yeah, no, and that's something that we have been doing, and that's partially why we did even, I mean, this project. And I understand your position, it's this project is a lot more developed in a lot of ways than that other conditional use permit down the way, I will say that. We have also done, we are consistently meeting and considering every one of the city's requests. I will definitely say that the city has definitely come back with new requests that aren't necessarily the same requests that were made of that.
Drainage report, if you do this, then that, you have to do all kinds of reports, and I see report, is that actually always something that's done, or is it special to you guys? Battle for so long.
Well, and that's really kind of where we're at
Yeah.
right now, and where it's
Yeah.
like, that's why we just have to,
Yeah.
I can't have this permit die right now,
I mean,
it's
if
so
the
that's, we gotta get to the next step.
Do this stuff, then, what are the laws, what are we really trying to do, and I think you have a good point.
Why did you say you had to come today? What are these timeframes that you're working on?
So the conditional use permit, I don't have them specifically on me right off the top of my head right now. But however, it was filed mid last year, looking at Lawrence.
You have to have the multiple action.
Yeah, so you have to
So
have
you have to be
demonstrable
making
action, you have to be making progress, and so with these communications and everything as well, because we're dealing with every portion of the city from every side, we're working with Union Pacific, none of these things are fast, we're dealing with Humboldt, we're dealing with the Washoe County. It's, demonstrable action sometimes is seen as a presentation versus these other discussions we have to have off record.
Well, how about you may, because you're up against the timelines, I guess, and because you don't have all the answers. I mean, maybe the best course of action is to withdraw at this time until you can gather all of this information and then present it coherently to the city staff and go quickly through the timelines.
So again, and this engineering firm specifically is pretty decent. I want to say that they're a good engineering firm. What they had originally presented in the initial application, even in the secondary application this last winter, well, I'll call it winter, so like November, December, still was compliant, and it also went above and beyond from that secondary conditional use permit down the way. So I mean, we could potentially go forward on this. The only thing though is even, for instance, fire's comments. The initial application, fire hadn't commented anything on it. They had actually made a comment saying that they had no comments, but then in December, we suddenly have a request for fire hydrants on a property that's pretty well, water right next to the river. So then that's when I have to say, hey, guys, wait a second, like, where are we looking at where this is suddenly required on a property that it doesn't necessarily make sense to have fire hydrants on?
Sean McCoy, thank you for the presentation tonight. I appreciate the feedback and because I was looking at it as well, going, okay, it's 90 days. Should we not have answers to some of these things from the December 5th memorandum that was sent out? And so you're clearly navigating through those, and perhaps this helps look like you're trying to do something discernible by showing today you're trying to work, whereas the record might not reflect that otherwise. When 90 days goes by and there really hasn't been an answer. So for me, just a couple of clarifying points. The application says this is for personal recreational vehicles, trailers, boats, and buses. But I also heard talk of perhaps construction equipment for cleanup. And so that to me sounded like that might have been just a variance in the description or the application of what we're trying to store.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can answer, how many RVs are we talking about? How many trailers, how many boats, how many buses? Because I'm still not sure like how big this parking lot is supposed to be and how many vehicles are going to be there.
So when it comes to construction vehicles, I have to be very, very specific because my clients own such a large portion of the property. They have their own construction vehicles that are allowable within the Reno Municipal Code. And I do have to mention though too, is I have clients across the city of Reno that do have these things. You would never expect some people to have tractors that do. Or you're like, wow, you're gonna whip out your tractor right now, right? But with that said, the number of vehicles, Because it's personal ownership and we just recently, so back in December was the first time they actually asked for a number. The issue is my clients also own businesses, right? And they also have business vehicles. They're not planning on parking their business vehicles there for a year at a time. However, if they have a business event or if they have clients, like if they have their employees coming in and they need somewhere to store or in the middle of transition, then there's gonna be a fluctuation of that storage. So one of the things that we're in discussions with the city of Reno, specifically with engineering and planning that I had mentioned earlier, is based upon the size of the property, we need to look at, okay, well, what is actually allowable? Because we're not trying to make this a free-for-all, and I'm not gonna guarantee to the city that my clients are gonna have 10 vehicles, including recreational vehicles, no more nor no less. Because the minute that they have 11, there'll be a complaint filed, and then we're gonna be back to square one. So we need to make sure that we're really, really realistic about this going forward to make sure that we're utilizing the property. Again, this conditional use permit though too it was a negotiation strategy from prior code enforcement complaints based upon them having their vehicles on the property itself.
Oh.
So it was at the conversation with the city of Reno essentially was that, hey, apply for this conditional use permit so it's within the permitted use of your property. However, they have quite a bit of it, so it's not like we're looking at everything in a you know, silo.
How many parcels do your clients own? It's several, right?
Yes, so on the River Currents LLC side, I believe it is 3.
Yeah, that's like 20 acres, 30 acres, something like that.
Yes, I'm looking at them right now because they.
With Union Pacific, 13 acres, about 30, about just shy of 40 acres, they own another farm, somewhat.
Okay.
And I get the concern about if we say 10 and then there's 11, like I get that, but I still think you should be able to tell us. Right now, we would be looking at parking around 25 vehicles in varying heights and sizes. But that could go up to, we'd like to have room to go up to 30. I mean, spell that out, say that. So it's like we have an understanding of this is what we're looking at. Because I get you're gonna have cars moving or equipment moving that you might use, you take the boat out now. I get that, but I think we should be able to have that information kind of presented, like they have to know what they own.
To help with that. So perhaps something that would give the next body clarity, say on a standard parking lot.
Yeah.
Dimensions, you can put 80 vehicles. That's a big space.
Yes, and that's where I'm looking for from the city, from
Yeah.
engineering and planning, saying where in your code gives me
But
some pinpoint of how many vehicles I can put in this
but
one
on
space.
the other hand, the guys down the road didn't have to jump through that.
Yes.
By the way, that's 7364th Street, that's Rob Company, he's landscaper for the city of Reno. I know him relatively well, and we actually encourage the city to follow that plan for us. They jump into this.
Have the codes changed since that plan was adopted? Is that part of the problem?
No,
This was 2
years ago that they got that.
So other than
Yeah.
they did everything right, except they built it before they got the permit.
Okay, so getting this permit is part of the compliance to resolve the code enforcement action, is that it?
No, so the code enforcement actions are like previously resolved from that originated in the CUP permit application in the first place. However, we're still making good faith efforts to continue with the CUP application.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's a little tricky because we have so many different agent, portions and divisions of the city are involved in this. And I do agree, it would be really nice, but I also do is the attorney hat on for a second, right? I'm not gonna put down on paper and say, okay, these are how many assets my clients own. Based upon the fact that there is no requirement in Reno Municipal Code for me to say this is how many are going to be here at this time. What I need though from the city of Reno is to be told, okay, well, this is with this large of a property for any other development, this is what would be required for size for a parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not a matter of this is how many we have, just.
How many could you?
How could you? Because visually,
Could it
like,
be a
it was
concept?
6.5 acres, it was 8 acres,
50 cars for sale, I mean, what?
No, and you can't have cars for sale though. That's the one thing I will definitely say. This is not a situation where this is where we're doing an auto sales office.
You're not renting out parking space for people, this is personal.
We're also doing a lot of work outside Union Pacific, sorry to sit back there. We did the whole cleaning plan, and you'll notice I don't know if he said he lived in the neighborhood, but when we first moved here from California, we had like 7 trailers. We're down to 3. That was the intention. It was never to fill the parking lot with trailers.
No,
This code, the CUP is all required because of the adjacency to single family, right, homes, or.
Yes.
It's supposed to be. It's not a commercial space, it's not an industrial space, it's not, so why?
I have a wonderful 8-page letter going to the city of Reno right now asking them. I trust me, I know, and it's, again, I'm the third person on this now, and that's one thing that when we sit down in my office and talk about this property specifically, we ask the question, okay, wait a second, guys, are we the first people asking?
Industrial, so the screening standards don't apply, it's private property.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it zone, multifamily at this point?
No, it is mixed use suburban.
Okay, so you're saying it's not commercial or industrial, but it could
Yeah,
have,
they're storing their own stuff on it.
yeah.
So why, so those visual barriers across the river, single family people shouldn't apply, that's.
Well, it does seem like the screen fence should be sufficient to screen, right?
I think it's,
There's not even a residential property
Yeah,
that can be seen from here. Trust me, this 8-page letter, I feel like you guys really, it's not gonna be entered into
the
the
screen fence, if I was the one parking my vehicles there, I would want a fence to put all my stuff in so that when I lock it up at night, I know it's
It's safe.
reasonably secure. Like I would be motivated to do that myself. But
Spook jumping.
it's I don't understand the,
We also have the whole property is also already fenced.
yeah.
And
That's
rock
right.
that
Yeah, so it,
and screen.
the whole fence thing is strange to me, and how the reason I brought up that fence is because the masonry wall, like, that does not mix with anything over there, even at all.
It looks awful.
I mean,
It looks like Minecraft, like you had some kid design,
It's like,
what.
it looks like the masonry wall makes it look like a storage unit is coming in.
So let me give you guys a little experience of mine. When I was, first came on council, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
When I first came on council, there was a property down Damani Ranch, Double Diamond. And, the way it had been done, the PUD required a concrete wall along 3 sides of this property. Okay, originally, it was planned to be a fire station. So they wanted to have this concrete wall to protect the residents nearby from the noise from the fire engine. Well, who ended up, the city abandoned that need, they sold it to someone else. The someone else was a dentist, they're making no noise, right? It's just a dentist office. And so I began trying to help these people not have to build a concrete wall, right? Because it made no sense, why do they? And the residents nearby all said the concrete wall would be ugly. They don't want a concrete wall, and there were 3 different property management groups or HOAs. So what they did in that case was, but the land said a concrete wall must be on this property, even though the use of it was like tied to the property. So what they did was first they got all their neighbors around them to write letters and support that they want a concrete wall. To your point, doesn't look good. And there was already a very nice, wrought iron fence that was created by the other people's property. And they also had a parking garage, so the back of that faced to these dentist people. So, and what was gonna have to happen is they were gonna have to like fill this space with trees between a garage and this concrete wall. And for what purpose? So I was able to work through that one. It took a long time, but I finally got the city to agree that this concrete wall could go away. And there is in a PUD, which is different than here, does give the administrator discretion. This is what I found. And so I said, all right, administrator, let's use your discretion. Why do you want a concrete wall? None of the neighbors want you to have a concrete wall. There isn't any fire station here anymore. Let's move on. And so eventually, with great persistence, they got rid of the concrete wall concept, put in the wrought iron. save them a lot of money, right? Because similar situation, they're having to build. And so there may be a path forward. I don't know, because we are all just here today. We're at the tail end of this conversation. We're not in the middle of negotiations with you. And so my one suggestion would be what Donna said, which is she doesn't know how to write any comments to planning commission because they're unsure what project you're gonna actually build. Will it be a concrete wall, a screen fence? Will it be 3.5 acres instead of 6.5 acres? What's it gonna be, you know? And that's the position they're in.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. One of the biggest things though too is coming to you guys and hearing that. It's really nice to have some vindication of saying, no, a concrete wall is ugly. And no, this guy down the street has a screen fence. So I can say, hey, no, we did present to the NAB with our latest revision. We understand that their questions and their questions aren't necessarily related to the masonry wall. They're related to the height of masonry wall specifically, 6 versus 10 feet, but they're also not related to the actual size or related as to whether or not grading is there. So when I go back to them and say, hey, we did conform with these, but we're already gonna run into issues with the neighborhood here. So what can we do? Maybe the CUP is not gonna be the right process. And, you know, as I kind of discussed earlier, this property has tried a lot of different things over the years.
For different property owners.
Yeah, for different property owners. And so now, right, we're kind of in this new era of figuring out what's actually gonna work and how to make this property less hairy to be able to get something done with it.
Well, I know, Chair, we have to move on. We've got 10 more minutes to wrap up the whole meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to check on public comment on that one. I did not receive any. You don't have anyone online with their hand raised. Move on. Lisa?
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. We are moving on to item C, business items. Do we have anything? No, so move on to item D, board commission committee member reports, announcements, discussion of future agenda items. Anything from anyone here?
I've got an announcement, Patrick Fisher for the record. This is my last NAB meeting. My term ends on March 31st.
Wow, okay.
My third term.
Patrick.
Wow.
We are gonna.
I just checked it on my new website. It has the 10 years there and I went, oh my gosh, this is gonna be my last meeting.
That's amazing.
So.
That's
Did you reapply?
Term limited.
Well, he's,
Yeah, I'm.
is it 3
So much in there.
It's only 2, right? I gave you an extra extension. I did. It was,
Yeah,
remember, because we didn't have applicants at that time.
right.
You were here, you were willing to keep serving. I'm like, all for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he has to have 1 year off, right? Then he can come back.
Yes. Take a nice cruise and come back.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
No, I gained a lot of knowledge. And I live where I live because I was on the neighborhood advisory board when the project came in front of us. And
You liked it so much, you moved into that project,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or they gave you a discount to push it through.
Waiting for that to be done. Yeah,
Right.
I didn't make any offers on the property at the meeting, so, but no, I have had a chance to learn so much from you, Donna, as far as the codes are concerned and how to bring people together and solve an issue is Naomi's greatest strength. And
Thank you.
I'm just happy she gave me a chance a number of years ago as a moderate Republican to actually come on the neighborhood advisory
You
board.
could have been not a moderate. I just like a lot of balance.
She since converted me to a firebrand independent. That wants to do more to solve the issues, so,
Well, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for doing for 3 terms. That's
Yeah, I
great.
got another Republican sitting right next to you.
Yeah, I know.
Point all this out.
What?
Why do you gotta point all this out?
Oh.
Put signs on
Yeah.
I got another
Signs in the neighborhood.
Republican over here. I mean, we're actually right now 50-50, so.
There you go.
You made assumptions, that could be a Republican.
I don't know. But anyway, it's not really something I study, just people that are eager to serve and bring their brains to work, you know?
Engage.
Yeah.
We will miss you.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
I'll miss the 2 days.
Yeah.
Been through a lot of
You
this.
show up anyway, for some interesting.
Well, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They always tell me right there.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, we'll move to agenda item E, public comment. We have any final public comment?
Got nothing.
No?
I'll say something actually. I'm Summer Pellet, and I just wanted to make a comment kind of about what we were just talking about a moment ago. In relation to the outdoor storage that they were requesting. Just being a business owner in this community myself, I can say that one of the reasons why the city does want you to come forward with a CUP for outdoor storage is that they don't want businesses like mine, a construction company, buying a vacant lot and then putting vehicles, commercial vehicles or something on that lot. So pretty much in all zoning districts, if outdoor storage is a permitted use, it's going to require a CUP so that the city has the chance to define where exactly on that parcel you're going to store it, what type of materials that you need to put down on the ground, whether it be asphalt grinding to pavement, dirt,
I was trying.
something of that nature. Yeah. And then as far as the screening goes, I mean, typically for that, they're going to say it can be chain link with slats. It can be a CMU block wall. Those are things that get discussed during that process. So all outdoor storage in the city is going to require some type of reviewing entitlement so that people aren't buying vacant parcels so that they can start storing commercial vehicles and things like that on it. So
Just anywhere, all places.
yeah, so I think it does make sense for the city to review.
Okay, see no more public comment. Let's go to item F, adjournment, looking for possible motion.
No way, not motion, no way.
We're
Second.
I move that we adjourn.
Mike Hanford, for
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Anybody
We are adjourned.
I think so.